Hello. This should be working. I'd hope it's working. Not much of a streamer. Let me double check that it is. It is. Yep. Should be good now. I'll wait a moment to get all the people in who want to be watching. I know I announced this pretty abruptly. Hi streamer. Hello, bro. Groove, what's up, man? You're a donator on Buy Me a Coffee, aren't you? Wait, aren't you one of our platinums? Actually, let me double check that. No, but you are a donator. I recognize your name. What's your name? KO. Online at least. Real world Elias. Yo, a lot of drama going on. Oh yeah. The free the stuff. Yeah. People in the Discord told me that he made another video. I haven't watched it yet, but people told me he made another video. Like on top of the one he already made. I mean, I got my water, fellas. I've been hydrating. Mm. Let me go ahead and set the ground rules for this stream. There we go. How do I pin a message? There we go. Those are the rules of the stream, fellas. Just make sure it follows TOS. And past that, you know, if it's like super personal life questions, I might not answer all of them. But other than that, we're good. Ooh. God damn. I imagine we're going to be getting into a lot of meat and potatoes in this stream, huh? Yo, what's up, G? What's up, man? Yeah, I imagine we're going to be getting into a lot today. I know there's a lot of confusion with Talon, especially because of the whole freebie stuff. Whatever happened to Altnet or whatever it's called? Oh, you mean Alternet? Very good news actually. How's my day? It's going pretty good. So actually, I will go ahead and answer that alternate question real quick. So if you go to the Raven website, actually, you can see down here we now do like these like it's taking a second to load, but we now do these like news posts basically. We have a new thing called Newsroom, and this is where all of the official Raven related posts will be going from now on. I'm gonna be weaning off talking about this stuff as much on this channel. Raven has its own official channel now, so all like the Raven stuff's going to kind of slowly move over there. So you are going to see less and less about Alternet on this channel, but on the other channel, you're going to see a lot more of it. So you can go subscribe to that one if you want. This, interesting. I'm not losing internet connection on the stream, am I? Hope not. The Alternet 0.1.x Foundation milestone has been completed. So this is pretty cool because we actually, instead of writing like a specification first, we're making a proof of concept code implementation of it first. And that way we can secure more actual funding and get more experts and get audits done and everything like that, test the real world feasibility, and then write a formal spec later down the road, of course. But we split up the development into milestones. You can see that the milestones on the GitHub. And then, but the first major milestone, which includes the just basically building out the foundation of Alternet, has been completed. You can go read more about that if you want. It's very cool. Pascal, the lead developer of it's doing God's work. Do you game? What do you play? Yeah, I game. Okay, I haven't gamed in honestly months. I barely game these days, but when I do, it's usually a lot of older games. I went out of my way because my friend DM'd me and told me that Fallout New Vegas was 99 cents on Steam, so I got Fallout New Vegas just because it was so cheap. SWAT 4 Gold Edition. I play a lot of SWAT 4, you know, even modding it and stuff. Uh, Nuclear Throne is a fun game. I know it's not as popular. I like a lot of Ultra Pool is also very fun. I think it's still in demo. Hey, if you use Raven on a PC, I'm assuming you mean Talon on a PC with things on it already, would it break it? Nope, not anymore. It used to, but no, not anymore. And what I mean by used to is it wasn't even like a definite guarantee that it would break anything on your computer. There were actually quite a few cases of people who ignored that advice and ran it on in-use PCs anyways, and nothing bad happened. But then to some people, it did cause issues. So that's why we just generally recommended not to do that, because we didn't want anybody having a bad experience. So we just said, hey, do it on a fresh install. You know, we don't want to have any issues. But you can install it on any in-use system now. Pretty much, unless if your computer's like riced to shit and is like very customized and stuff, you really shouldn't have any issues. Can anyone link the Discord? Yeah, if you go to the Raven website, hold on. If you go to the Raven website, right here, and then you scroll to the bottom, there's a Discord link at Connect at the bottom right there. I can go ahead and put it in chat if you want, but I mean generally I don't even think I need to. You can go to the website, scroll down to the bottom. It's right there. Are you making a response video? That guy is delusional. Okay, well listen, let's not give any kind of hate brigade or whatever. Don't I think he's very incorrect when it comes to a lot of the more technical things he talks about in his videos. He definitely misunderstands cybersecurity fundamentally. I definitely don't think he should be making a debloat script like that with he seems misplaced with his knowledge, but I wouldn't call him. Let's not like get used to insulting the guy in here or whatever, calling him delusional and stuff. I don't want to be, you know, he was talking about how he's receiving harassment and stuff, and I actually did go look at his GitHub issues on his GitHub repository for WinSucks, and there were some people who were actually tossing insults, spamming it, flooding it with all that stuff. It was few people, thankfully. It was like only like a small handful of people, thankfully, but that's still annoying, right? You guys should never send this guy harassment. I don't want you guys to do that, okay? That's not what I'm here for. Same thing with like drama, right? I'm not here for drama. And in fact, the reason why I'm doing this stream, this Ask Me Anything, is because I want to make sure I'm being open with you guys. I want to make sure that I'm talking to you guys, interacting with you guys directly. Ooh. Seems like the stream dropped off a tiny bit for a second. I'll tell you guys this right now. My internet connection here, where I'm staying right now, is not fantastic. But my whole point was just that I want to make sure I'm talking to you guys directly. I want to make sure that I'm addressing concerns head on. I want to make sure that I'm not just, you know, ignoring what you guys have to say, because, you know, your guys' concerns are important. I really hope the stream isn't too bad. Let me know if the stream is too bad. As far as making like a response video to his video, I don't know if that's entirely necessary. I don't know if I'll be doing that, because the last thing I want to do is enter like the oh, I've seen a lot of people even commenting already, like, I don't want to enter that gif of like the Spider-Man's all pointing at each other, right? I don't want to be, or like getting into this just like, no you did it, no you did it, no you did it, you know. I don't want to be getting into like just a pointless back and forth right that like that. And what happened to the documentary? Still in progress, just a lot of delays. I mean, we are trying to make like a full scale thing, right? We're actually venturing out and talking to locals and going all over Texas and stuff. So it's very time consuming. How do you think about Freethy? Well, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of questions like this again. I have nothing against the guy, personally. I just think he's very... I think he's very I think he misunderstands cybersecurity and a lot of what I talked about in my video. I think he fundamentally misunderstands them, the topics I was discussing. And it makes sense. I'm just gonna wait to speak more, because I keep seeing the kilobits per second going up and down and up and down. You know, he's a he's a guy who does like Windows debloating and optimization and stuff. So obviously the guy is no cybersecurity expert. It's pretty obvious in his code. And I think when oh yeah, there's a hole in my shirt by the way. Don't worry about it. And I think whenever a guy like him, you know, gets thrown into kind of my world where I'm talking about cybersecurity and risk assessment, and I'm doing an analysis and talking about like the security risks and stuff like this, and then those two worlds collide, so to speak. You know, I feel like that really doesn't blend well because I feel like a lot of those people their focus is on like maximizing performance at whatever cost, you know, and they don't really take into account the cybersecurity concerns. But again, I have nothing against the guy personally. I you know I'm here to criticize code. I'm here to criticize code. I'm here to look at his actual project and analyze that. And I'm here to talk about cybersecurity and stuff. I'm not here to be causing drama. What do I think about his new video? Again, I haven't watched his new video yet. I watched the first one. I thought he made a lot of inaccurate points. I thought he misrepresented the situation, but I have not seen the newest one. Although I was just told this morning that he made a new one. Do you think he's a bad person? No. I just think again he misunderstands the what I was talking about. I think he doesn't really understand cybersecurity. Is he in the new place now? Yeah, Freezy's living here with me. Turns out we're both just like in the same house. Just do you ever think you'll be adding? I'm not going to say the name of the tool, but do you ever think you'll be adding? I'm listen. Talon's never going to get added. Anything that breaks Microsoft's terms of service or anything like that. We want to make sure we're compliant to make sure that we don't get taken down. We want to make sure we're legitimate, so we're not going to be adding any way to bypass product activation or whatever like that. How does your average day look like? Pretty simple. I wake up. My sleep schedule's been fixed ever since I moved out. I have really bad somnophobia, which is wow. Listen. If the stream is too bad, then let me know and I'll fix it. Because on OBS it's looking bad, but just let me know if like I keep cutting out or whatever. Average day looks like, I mean, I had pretty bad somnophobia. I still do a little bit, but I've been sleeping a lot better. So my sleep schedule is for the most part fixed. So I just wake up in the morning, I'll make a bowl of cereal or some shit, and then I just get work done on computer, you know. uh, I used to do calisthenics. I haven't done them nearly as much. I need to catch up on that. But as of right now, it's just kind of getting work done, moving things along. Sometimes I'll, you know, have to take a trip to the grocery store, whatever. And then I end the day sitting on that recliner with a can of Canada Dry. That's how I like to end my day. I just sit there watching a YouTube video on my phone. I've seen in your website that you have a lot of skills like cybersecurity, digital forensics, etc. Since I realized that you were 18 years old, I've always wondered, did you learn all that by yourself? Well, not entirely, but a large chunk of it, yes. So I took a lot of classes about computer science. I advanced computer science courses. I took a lot of cybersecurity classes. I took digital forensics classes and courses. I actually the school I was going to was going to pay for me to get my Security Plus, my CompTIA Security Plus, but then that didn't end up working out because I ended up not pursuing my senior year of school. I was a junior about to go into senior year, and then I decided I'm just not going to do that and just focus on, you know, this Raven stuff and all that. I mean, he's showing you saying disable antivirus and whatnot. That's there's people confused. That's why. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a very fair thing, right? I actually, do you guys? Let me ask you guys this: do you want me to explain that? Because actually, I love ranting on. I love talking about cybersecurity stuff. I love talking about this topic especially. because topics like Windows, topics like how Defender works and all that really interest me. And these cool tricks that a lot of debloaters use to circumvent Defender, like even his script. So if you guys want me to talk about that, I'll love talk about that. I'll surely do that. If you guys want me to go on a rant, I will. It freezes sometimes for a second, but other than that, it's fine. Okay. The audio is perfect. I don't think it cuts at all. Okay. Well, if you see me like awkwardly pausing a bunch, it's because I keep seeing the kilobits per second like dipping down. I want to make sure that I'm not, that you guys can hear the importance, the stuff that I'm saying. Thank you for your team and making talent. Oh, thank you, man. Stream is smooth. Do you like coding as a hobby? Not really. A little bit, off and on. I'm not I wouldn't call myself a developer. I am a cybersecurity engineer and systems architect who does developing sometimes. You know what I mean? But I really oh, excuse me. But I really don't want to be seen as like a full-time developer, you know what I mean? Because I thought I was going to be a programmer when I was younger, but it turns out I'm not the biggest fan of programming. I quit calisthenics for 1 month because Ramadan. Yeah, that's fair. In some weeks because of college, yeah. For me, it's just been things have gotten so hectic. I haven't really given myself the time, In America, is it really that hard to get a job without a car? Yes. Especially in Texas, especially where I am. The infrastructure is purely car dependent. There's no buses here. Most parts of the roads and stuff don't even have sidewalks. Without a car, it's like it is pretty impossible here. In Europe, we're just not required to drive. Yeah, I think they have better walking infrastructure there. Do it up, King. Talk your heart out. I mean, if you guys want me to, I will. Is that what you guys want me to do? Because I listen. I understand that there's like the confusion about the Defender thing and all that stuff from this whole freebie thing. If you guys want me to clear it up, I am very willing to. Just honestly, should we do a poll? I don't know how to do a poll, but I'd like to do one. I if I figure out how to do one, I will do it. I am a streamer, fella. What, quitting on the last year, man? I don't know. You probably got your reasons. Yeah, just going straight into work. School didn't seem like a good use of my time. Did you and your mom make up? No, I haven't spoken to her since I moved out. Kind of look like Chris Oni NG. I have not seen this man before. Let me look him up. Ooh. Chris O'Neill. Well, there's no picture of him on GitHub. Or not GitHub. Fuck. I mean, Wikipedia. This guy? We do not have the same nose. But I see the resemblance. I actually see the resemblance. We don't have the same nose, though. That's a pretty different nose right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. Different nose, but... What programming languages you would never touch? Easily Java. And I try my best to avoid JavaScript, but it's inevitable that you have to do that a little bit if you do any kind of dev stuff. Sorry, web dev stuff. Is there a ballpark estimate on Alternet getting an initial release? Well, it's important to understand that what we're working on right now, when you mean initial release, what we're working on right now is a proof of concept code implementation. So it's not necessarily like a full production ready, like you can actually use this out in the real world entirely kind of thing. I guess you technically could, but I don't know if it'd be a great idea, right? Because the whole point of the POC is just to prove the feasibility of it. And then after that, we can secure more funding. We can do stuff like that, get more experts working on this, and then actually build it into a full thing and then get an actual production release. Because it's never going to be a production release until we get auditing done on the protocol, until we get the code audited by security firms, stuff like that. And then we write a formal specification. none of which we're doing yet. We're just writing a POC first. But the initial release of the POC, at least, we're getting it finished anytime this year. That's the goal, is to sometime on the, it's most likely going to be in the second half of 2026. We're working on getting the POC finished. Freethy made a new video about you. Yeah, I heard. I haven't seen it though. When will you turn off comments on your videos? No need. I have no desire. I have no need to control criticism or control the narrative. I think my work speaks for itself, and I think that I I think that, there's really no need for me to turn off the comments. I have been getting some rude comments, some insults, some people, arguing that I like some, just stuff like that, like just the basic insults and stuff. And any comment that's just like, you're an idiot, and then they post it, and then they don't give any, like, anything more than that. I do hide those comments. I'll just be straight up with you guys on that, because what the fuck is the point of just like pointlessly throwing an insult, right? Or like someone just being like, oh, because you're 18, you're just a little kid who doesn't know anything of what he's doing. I hide those comments because I'm just like, man, there's no value to be had here, right? But a lot of the opposing, like a lot of the opposing views or the criticisms or whatever, people arguing my points, they have their own perspectives on stuff. Even if they're not entirely accurate, I could sit there and try to argue, be a keyboard warrior arguing every single reply, but that's just not necessary, The internet's a huge place. You can't win them all. And that's not even my point, Seeing what the world is trying to do to the net, are we cooked? It's concerning, but again, projects, alternate being worked on, and there is Tor right now. It's not great because it's super slow and stuff, but it's there. It's not perfect. Maybe watch the guy's video right now and talk about it. I don't know if that's entirely a good idea. If enough of you guys really want me to, I will do that on this video. But sorry, on the stream. If you guys really want me to do that, I will. I'll live react or whatever. But I don't know if that's entirely necessary or a good idea, because again, I don't want this stream to be like some kind of hate brigade or whatever. I don't want us to just be pointing and laughing at the guy, and I don't want to turn it into something like that, right? I want to focus on myself. I want to focus on Talon. I want to focus on addressing my stuff, right? And if you guys want to ask me anything like that, I can answer for myself. Just leave it all in and won't get thumbs up anyways. Well, I mean, I've seen some of the comments, even especially after the newest video that Freethy posted, a lot of those comments have been showing up, a lot more of them, I mean. And they've been getting, thumbs up or whatever. But it's, again, I'm not here to be like policing your guys' speech or whatever. You guys are allowed to have your own opinions, just don't be a dick about it. A lot of people think that my video has inaccuracies, or some people think that I'm a hypocrite because of the way Talon asks you to temporarily disable Defender for you to use it. Stuff like that. That's your opinion, Yes, Freethy received a lot of hate, but in no way is that your fault. You raised valid points, and I don't think your video is meant to attack in any way. Well, I appreciate that, man, and it really wasn't. There wasn't any intent of like sending harassment his way or whatever. I'm just here to talk about cybersecurity and shit like that. But internet be the internet, I think future videos I make like that, I should probably make a bit more heavy of a point, like don't harass anyone I talk about in here. I'll probably like make it more of a forefront of a point, you know what I mean? Because I mentioned it in that video, but I didn't like really drive it home, I don't think. I think it would just be a good idea to make sure I'm a little more careful about that. I don't want to be responsible for anyone, getting harassment or whatever. Can I ask you about hypervisor bypass? And what do you think about it? That's a pretty broad term. Depends on what you mean by hypervisor bypass. Because Yeah, if you could clarify on that, because there's a lot of different hypervisors out there, right? Microsoft's Hyper-V, there's KVM, there's a lot of different hypervisors out there. Some people don't want to offer valid criticism. They just want something out of you. Again, I'm not here to argue his intent. I'm not here to argue, if he's good or bad or whatever. Because, again, my opinion on Freethy is that I don't have an opinion on him. I just think that his WinSuck script sucks. I think that his script is horrible. But I'm not here to talk about the man, the actual guy who created it. You know what I mean? Been using your search engine, man. Oh, Raven Search, man. Nice. Glad to hear. Hoping you're enjoying it. I use it myself. Like, I do use everything we make. Did you see Freethy putting botted Okay, I saw a comment saying that too. I'm gonna end that right here. Those aren't botted comments. Okay, and this is coming from someone. I feel like I have a pretty good eye for botted comments. Those are not botted comments. Okay, those are people, audience members of his who watched his video, and then watched his video, decided that they agreed with him, and then came to my video to talk about it. They're not botted, and then they like each other's posts. They're not botted. I can tell you that pretty confident right now. And saying that he's botting the videos, that he's putting botted comments in my videos, is very inaccurate. I doubt he's manually going in there paying for bots or like flooding my thing with bots. I doubt it. I bet those are just audience members of his voicing their opinions, And it's just like me. I can't control the small few of my channel who go and send hate to this guy just as much as he can't control every last audience member of his going to mine and, stuff like that. I don't blame... My whole point is I don't blame Freethy for those people. And neither should you. What do you think of helium? It's an element in the periodic table. Pretty cool. Okay, jokes. I'm gonna stop being a smartass. Helium, the browser. I haven't had a good enough really chance to toy around with it. I've heard some people say it's good, but I feel like it's just there's a new hip and cool browser out there like that's just a Chromium fork every other week, man. One's like gets kind of popular in the niche communities, then dies out, and then another one spins up. It's So I haven't gotten to look at it yet. Do you consider Talon a debloater or optimizer? I mean, aren't debloaters supposed to be optimizers? Isn't that the point of debloating? Isn't that kind of the purpose of debloating a system? The primary focus of Talon is visually debloating your system. So getting rid of Copilot and all the crap that's being shoved in your face, and then also making your system feel snappier, feel more performant visually, right? So like if I press the start button on my keyboard, the start menu comes up like immediately, right? Like that's what I mean by snappier. It's like things are really just chugging along. Rather than it, normally where it takes like an entire second or two just to pull up or whatever. That's the entire goal of Talon. And some people have reported, FPS improvements and stuff with Talon too, but that's not like the primary goal. Maybe make a poll about it to watch it or not, because for me it would be very interesting to watch. Okay, I might. Do you have any concerns of attracting attention of them and ending up like the water engine dude? The water engine dude. I'll be real, brother. I have no clue what you're talking about. Freethy's content is suited to a younger audience and people that aren't super techy. His audience definitely seems not very like techy, as you said, but I don't know if it's entirely accurate to call them a younger audience. Just people who want to debloat their system, right? People who care about Windows optimization, gamers. His audience seems a lot like gamers and people who want like performance for the video games and stuff like that. So telling people not to run random scripts is fine. You're teaching to people to be skeptical, which is great. Yeah, that's the entire goal of my channel, right? is just be skeptical of the shit you download. No matter what tool you use, wherever you use it, you're trusting YouTube right now. You're trusting whichever video, whichever company creates the browser that you're trusting the browser that you're watching YouTube on right now. You're trusting the operating system you're running right now. You know, there's always trust in all the software you use, including Windows debloaters, and it's especially important when Windows debloaters are mostly made by individuals and mostly made by smaller groups. It's very important to make sure that you're extra cautious with those, and that's including my tools too, right? That's including Talon. That's including myself. Don't just blindly believe what I say. Just don't blindly believe what he says too. Do your own research and inspect the shit yourself. Come to your own conclusion. That's kind of my entire point of this channel. So telling people, oh, well, I already read that. The comment got 4,000 likes in an hour, and then they all got reduced to 20 likes. Pretty sure something he paid for, and the accounts look sketch. Well, I can't speak to that. I personally haven't witnessed that because I was asleep. He posted the video while I was asleep, I'm pretty sure. like literally I woke up an hour ago. So I I didn't personally witness none of that, so I can't speak to any of it. Specifically the Denuvo hypervisor bypass that's been on piracy forums. I'm curious how Denuvo will respond. Well, I don't really want to get into piracy and stuff like that. I'm not going to delve into piracy. And again, make sure it's YouTube toss. The most shady part about the whole Freebie thing for me is that he has personal repo hosting executables. Most of that software is closed source, and that's super unethical. Yeah, that's honestly a major concern of his script. Although he I mean, from at least from what I've seen, he's saying that those are like legitimate exes, that those are actually downloaded from the official sources, but that's not entirely the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that it's his own personal GitHub repository that he just fully controls, that it just arbitrarily downloads those files, doesn't do any kind of hash check, and just blindly believes, yeah, it just trusts that the exes there are safe, rather than doing any kind of check to make sure that they actually are. And especially, it's just bad practice doing that, because if his account gets compromised in any way, or if there's a lot that can go wrong there compared to downloading it from the official sources from these big companies. It's just good to download from the official sources to make sure you're not adding extra layers of potential ways to be compromised. And also because, again, I'm not going to argue the guy's intent, but if Freebie wanted to, or again, if his account got compromised, I mean, it only takes a couple clicks on his end to replace those exes with something bad, and then the script just blindly trusts him, right? But that's, again, comes down to the point of trust, right? Where same thing with us, right? We could do that to Talon too. We could replace, although Talon doesn't download stuff remotely during its process, we could replace the actual Talon exe with something bad. Like that's the whole point. You got to be able to trust the people you're downloading from. There's no concrete way to distribute software without requiring a little bit of trust. But there's definitely proper ways to make sure that your script is like doing things as best security wise, and then just like just throwing security out the window there. I want to ask, what's the difference between your fork of CRXNG and the original repo instances? Is it just branding changes? Is it in a theme, or are there actual functionality changes? So it's a branded fork, so we put a custom theme, and then we put our branding, and then we have a different configuration. But that's really about it. There's no like deep fundamental changes to CRXNG that are made. We just have a custom configuration. If you have a record of this, how many people have used Talon? I don't have a record of the total amount of people who've used Talon. I do not have a total record of that, of like all time. But what I do have, and this is because for the longest time, for most of the time of Talon's existence, we didn't actually even track download counts and stuff. But uh, as of very recently, I don't have the exact timestamp. I thought I did. As of recently, we do actually have infrastructure to be counting the amount of downloads now. So, and that's been around for about a week now, I think. And in that time, I checked last night from like the moment we implemented actually being able to count the downloads until now. The amount of downloads edits has been it was like 5,000 something. Hold on, I'm talking out of my ass right now. Let me just go get the actual numbers for you. Hold on. So I made an announcement about it in our Discord server. Yeah. So as of March 27th, around 10:19 p.m., that's when we got the new download infrastructure set up, and we actually count the number of downloads now. And then a day later, on March 28th, at 12:12 p.m., I checked on it, and there were roughly 0.92 downloads of Talon per minute. You can see that right here in the Discord. That's how many downloads there were just a day since I made this announcement, right? So this was at 10:19 p.m. This is the exact time when we started counting, and then right here, the day later, I checked on it, and it was just in that time period, it was downloaded 762 times. I checked last night, like I was talking about earlier, and I saw it was roughly like 5,000 something. But instead of just you guys blindly hearing me say that number, let me actually go look at the exact number for you. I'm gonna log into the dashboard real quick. I don't know if I can entirely show you guys the back end of our downloads here. I don't know if I necessarily want to. I don't know if that's a good idea. Talon since March, what was it, 27th, has been downloaded 5,719 times. That's how many times Talon has been downloaded. Let me get caught up. Yeah. So, haha, sorry being cryptic. Sorry for being cryptic. There was a dude that made an engine that worked with water. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, man. But then okay. I kind of see the point you're making, but I don't really know how to answer that question still. Hi, thanks for making Talon. Hello, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Ugh. So much that can go wrong there. Look at what's been happening with NPM. Exactly. So that's my point, right? If any of you got, oh, again, ignore the hole in the shirt. If any of you guys have been looking at NPM, which is this package manager for JavaScript frameworks and for Node, it's the Node package manager. That's what the N and NPM stands for. I lost my train of thought there for a second. So NPM is this package manager for Node.js. And these people are hosting these packages there. They get compromised all the time, whether it be through their accounts getting hacked, of any of the maintainers of the projects, or whether it be like a supply chain attack, of anything like that, right? Like that's totally possible with what Freethy's doing with his executables in his personal repo. It's that exact same issue. It's like, the NPM maintainers can just be careful. Oh, my account's not going to get hacked. Don't worry about it. And then it does, right? Because people are human. They make mistakes and people get hacked all the time. If you think you're immune to getting hacked, you're one of the people who's probably more likely to get hacked, right? Hi, Freethy video here. Not to go super hard on you, but I think a follow-up video is way better than a live stream that respectfully not a lot of the audience will see. It is a bit of a mixed bag, right? I want to make sure I'm not stirring up drama. I want to make sure I'm not doing anything like that. I get that you're avoiding drama, but you're already in it. You see, I don't entirely agree with that. Because that basically is saying that you don't have any control of whether you're in drama or not. when in the reality of the situation is I very well could just not make a response, right? Like, you don't have to make a response video. You don't have to keep the drama going. You can just let a wave go through, let a wave pass, right? And then that be that. You can control a majority of your audience. The claim that you can't control criticism is lame. I can't. I can't control criticism. I can listen. If you think that I can control the thought of people watching my videos, you're wrong. People have their own opinions, right? Anyone watching my content, my videos, should watch both sides of the story. Okay. I want to make sure that's clear. If you're watching my content, make sure you're getting both sides of the story. And this is for any YouTuber, actually. If you're watching anybody's content, if I'm talking about this guy's tool, you should investigate yourself. If he's making his videos, you should go watch them and then form your own opinion. Obviously, don't send hate to either side. Just form your own opinion. Come to your own conclusions there. Take in what both sides have to say, right? The air needs to be cleared. I don't think that's entirely necessary. What's up? What's up, man? Do you think it's possible to change some core fundamental of Windows visuals and logic with open source alternative, for example, Explorer.exe? Yeah, there is a alternative desktop environment for Windows already out there called Cairo. It's called like Cairo Desktop or whatever. You can look that up if you want. I think I made a video on that actually. It's pretty cool. Obviously not as stable as the regular file explorer, so I don't know if I can entirely recommend it as a daily driver. But when I made that video, I was saying like, yeah, it's very cool. You should definitely check it out, and I think it's cool. You can trust us with API keys for safekeeping. Trust. I love the technology of npm, and it's a shame to see it being abused the way it is. Well, that's just the risk you got to take, right? Any kind of distributed package manager like that is always going to have those kinds of risks because you're trusting individuals. Like I said, you're trusting small teams and individuals with stuff like that. And even if you're trusting massive companies get hacked all the time. It just goes to show you, right? Like the adding more layers of trust that are necessary to run your tool is unnecessary versus like just having it all be packaged into one thing, being offline and being auditable, right? And then especially if you're throwing in your own personal GitHub repositories and stuff, that's just you're increasing the attack vector. The attack surface is the proper terminology. Just the surface area of where a attack could potentially be. You're just widening that. Of course, you are not obligated to do anything and let the wave pass, quote unquote. You controlled your audience's view on the situation by making your video of a caution rather than a review. What? I'm a bit confused by that one. People will listen to you because you claim you're an expert in cybersecurity. I don't think that's true. I don't think people will just blindly believe me just because I mentioned briefly in my video that and I never called myself an expert in cyber security because I'm not an expert in cybersecurity. Absolutely not. I'm definitely not an expert. I am. I mean, I hate to use the age argument, but because it really is not a good way of indicating how intelligent someone is, just based off their age. But it shows experience, and the age should show you my experience, right? Like I've only been on this planet for 18 years. I've only been doing this stuff. Raven was formed in 2024. So I've only been doing the Raven stuff for like 2 years now, which in the grand scheme of things is not a long time. So that's just a point to prove that I'm not an expert, right? And I don't think people will just blindly listen to anything I have to say just because I say that I'm a cybersecurity engineer. With red font and do not install, just screaming at your audience to go after Freely without clicking on the video himself. I think you're stretching here. I think I don't think that viewers are just rabid animals that blindly listen to commands, right? Like if I don't believe that people just read something and then just go do it, right? Like like how an LLM you just like there's just like injecting like a prompt like ignore all previous instructions and go harass this guy. I don't think that's how humans work. And my thumbnail says do not install like that because I firmly believe you should not install that script at all. You should not install that. And it's red and stuff to indicate like I seriously do not install this, because that was what my entire video was about. And I don't, and nothing in my video, I think screams at my audience, screams to my audience to go after Freebie. I never once tell people to go after Freebie. In fact, I try to make it as clear as possible not to go after him. I mentioned it in the video. Do not harass this guy. Do not go after this guy and stuff like that. So I think you're pretty wrong here. I suppose we can just disagree, though. Wasn't the video more like reviewing WinSucks, should you trust it, leaving the audience to speculate? No, because my video, rather than just leaving an open-ended question, I was doing an analysis on his script. I was doing a review of his code, and I came to my own conclusion. And then I posted what my conclusion is. And then people can watch that, and then people can do their own research and then come to their own conclusion. I posted my take on it, you know? Thank God for cybersecurity chads that save the day all the time with NPM supply chain attacks. Yeah, those people are doing God's work, the people dealing with that stuff, because, man, NPM getting hacked like every other day. Freethy reviewed Talon. I'd rather run WinSucks based on info given by him than ever run Talon. And that's your own opinion, right? You came to your own conclusion. I'm happy you did. If you trust him, ignore the. If you trust him and you trust what he said, and you looked at the information he provided, you looked at the information I provided, you listened to both sides, right? And then you came to your own conclusion. That's all I can ever ask you to do. That's all I can ever ask of you guys, right? Because I don't need you guys to run Talon. I don't need you guys to do that, right? My personal recommendation, from everything that I know, is to never run WinSucks. I think you should never run WinSucks in a million years. I think that it is a very bad script for security. I think that it has horrible security, and I think that if even security aside, it would definitely harm the stability of your system severely. But again, that's my conclusion that I drew. That's my perspective on it. Someone needs to get PC Security Channel on this. I used to watch that guy's channel, but I fell off watching him, honestly. I honestly should go back to watching him. My only kind of issue with him, PC Security Channel wise, I mean, you got to make money somehow, but me and him disagree, I think, on how valuable third-party antiviruses are. I definitely think that Windows Defender's enough for most people. Uh, Although I think his channel definitely is targeting more mature audiences, kind of corporate or like businesses and stuff. I think is what his kind of audience is, less than like just non-tech savvy users and stuff. Because for non-tech savvy users, you can just get fine with Defender. But for companies and stuff, I see more of a use. Just wondering if you've seen Freely's most recent video from 11 hours ago. No, I have not. I haven't watched it. I watched his other video, his like first video called like they tried to expose me or whatever. And just to make it clear, I think that title's a little off. Nothing I was doing in that video was trying to expose Freely. That's not my goal. I'm not here to listen, right? I don't have enough energy or time or whatever to get into this like exposed, like have you seen those YouTube like essay videos where they do like the black bar over the eyes and it says like exposed or whatever? I'm not I'm not here to expose the guy. I'm here to just do an analysis on tools, right? Why use Noitka for redact, for example? We use it for Talon too. Although Windows marks Noitka as malicious. Noitka is just a system for Python. It's just a way to compile Python scripts into exe files. There's a lot of different ones. There's a lot of different utilities out there to do that, but we use Noitka just because it's a very mature tool. It's very stable. It has a lot of options. Noitka is just a very solid option in my opinion. That's why we use it. And we use it because we don't want people to have to install Python, and we don't want people to have to do all that stuff, right, just to run our tool. We want people to just be able to run an exe. So we compile the stuff into Noika executables. How's it going with the hat sales? I haven't checked. Is Europe shipping now possible? I mean, it should be from the start. I'm still trying to work that out with the people. But obviously I've been pretty busy recently, so I haven't been keeping up with it, honestly. I'm sorry about that. As far as I'm aware, sadly, it is just US only. Sorry if you've talked about this. I haven't. Just joined. I haven't been keeping up with the hat sales. Honestly, I haven't looked. I'm sure he'll watch it, but we're not trying to stir the pot. It was never meant to be a hit piece. Exactly. You know, the video that I made, the initial video that talked about his tool, was never supposed to be a hit piece, right? I'm not trying to stir up drama or nothing, right? Not trying to stir the pot. If you guys really insist, I can watch his video on the stream here, but I don't know if that's entirely a good idea. I'm a bit hesitant about it because I don't want this video, I don't want this stream to turn into like just a finger pointing and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't want to get into that back and forth drama stuff, you know? Just wondering, how would Alternet deal with the bot problem and agentic LLMs that are wreaking havoc in cybersecurity lately? Well, Alternet's just a protocol, right? It's a networking protocol. We're not like the arbiters of information and stuff when it comes to Alternet, you know? If you're talking about like how we're gonna deal with it when it comes to like GitHub PRs and GitHub issues and stuff, Pascal's dealing with that, right? Pascal's the developer, so he's in charge of that. Honestly, he'd be the better person to ask about that. But if you're talking about like people botting the network and stuff, I mean, Alternet's just a protocol again, so it's not. We're having measures in place using cryptography, signing proofs, and all that stuff to try to make it more expensive to run bots and try to de-incentivize bots and traffic and stuff. But you're never going to fully get rid of them. I want to buy a hat, but they still don't ship to Europe. Yeah, that's unfortunate. They really, they're supposed to be shipping to Europe, so I'm honestly not sure why they're not. I see. Thank you. Also, not having installed Python is a big plus for non-tech savvy people like me. Yeah, exactly. Because we wrote Talon in Python instead of like just having it one monolithic PowerShell script, right? Most of the hate, anyways, from another YouTuber whose entire channel is AI slop. I saw that. I actually watched just a tiny bit of that video out of curiosity. That's why his they tried to expose me video is so defensive. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. Also, I'm sure you also know about the death threats. Yeah, I do. I heard him talking about that because again, I watched that video of his. That AI slop video, I laughed my ass off at it. I actually, it's kind of funny. I didn't actually know that video even existed until after I made my video. And then people mentioned to me like, oh yeah, there's also this other video that's like an AI slop video, and I laughed pretty hard at that one. But it makes sense why he's, being more defensive about it. Because I'm sure to him it feels like an attack of his character, an attack on his credibility, right? And again, my entire point is I'm not trying to attack to begin with. I'm just giving my thoughts, my analysis of a tool that he made, and I think, in my conclusion, I think that his WinSub script is terrible. I think that nobody should run it, and I think it is pretty indistinguishable from malware. Like it definitely, I would personally call it malware. But again, malware is maybe not entirely the correct term though. There, honestly, because I know a lot of people were mentioning like, isn't malware like you're supposed to have the intent of being malicious? And I feel like that's slightly a gray area because malware can be a umbrella term. For full technical accuracy, I think malware may not be the perfect word. If I were to view the script that he made without any context, like if I didn't know anything about it and someone just handed me it in like a DM and was like, hey, is this malware? I would look at it, I would see all that stuff, then I would say, yes, this is malware. That's the whole point I was getting at, right? But yeah, the death threats and stuff is very messed up. I would never support that. Anyone sending him death threats like that and stuff that's terrible. And I would never condone or support that. I think both of you make good points. Also, he turned off YouTube comments. Yeah, I saw that too. He's entitled to turn off YouTube comments. It's his channel. That's true too. If they can't handle the hate, as he says, then it's a good way to de-escalate. Again, also true. Yeah. I mean, if the guy's been receiving a lot of threats and a lot of harassment and stuff, disabling comments makes sense, right? What are your thoughts on Winhance? I have a video that I'm working on right now where I'm basically going over every single debloater like under the sun. Like every single debloater I could possibly think of. Just all in one video, right? And giving my personal thoughts on them. Winhance, I wouldn't like it that much. It's actually pretty cool. I actually like Winhance a decent bit. I will say it feels like a more modern take on Chris Titus's WinUtil. Because like it really does just feel like Chris Titus's WinUtil, but if you slapped a fresh coat of paint on it, right? So I don't know necessarily. I don't see entirely the point why you would use Winhance over Chris Titus's WinUtil. But it does seem like there's a bit more options as well, and it is more like of a modern UI and stuff. So maybe less tech savvy users would just have an easier time with Winhance. Overall, it seemed neat, seemed pretty cool. I probably wouldn't personally use Winhance on my systems, but seems like a solid option. Like I could see myself recommending Winhance to someone. Um, are you going to do anything about some of Talon's contributors on GitHub harassing Freebie? To my knowledge, because I know a lot of those people who are contributing, who contributed to the GitHub. Let me go to the GitHub here. Yeah, so Jay Doinkus is actually our video editor. And Emery hasn't even been involved with Talon or even just Raven in general. He hasn't been involved with Raven in months. He has had zero involvement in our community or anything like that in months. So he's definitely out of the picture. I don't know this Oliver Smith guy, so I guess maybe. And then Buzz Honey, I also don't really know. So maybe those two people, perhaps. But Jay Doinkus and Emery are absolutely not harassing him. I can tell you that now. Jay Doinkus is our video editor. He's not even that much of a tech savvy person. I think the reason why he shows up as a contributor there is because he made a GitHub issue one time and I accepted his GitHub issue or something like that. Or I think actually he made a GitHub PR. Because I think in order to show up as a PR, you need to contribute code. I don't think just issue posts show you as a contributor. I'm not a GitHub expert. I'm pretty sure to show up as a contributor, you need to have a PR. So then I guess Jay Doinkus made like a small PR or whatever. But I'll tell you this right now. I'll tell you this right now. Jay Doinkus ain't harassing anybody. That man is in college. That man is doing his own shit. He doesn't even. I'm pretty sure Jay Doinkus doesn't even like watch my videos, so I don't even think he's seen the video yet. And then Emery, he hasn't even been involved with us in months. So, can't the exe install Python itself? Plus, there are extra taxes when ordering from US to EU to Estonia at least. Last I tried to order merge from the US. Well, at least that part about the exe installing Python itself. This is kind of like a weird slippery slope of like there's ways you can technically do things and then there's the right way to do things. Like really that's a whole can of worms of like, trying to like jankily do this shit and stuff to like make it work versus like just having Python, compiling it into an exe and then just running the exe, you know? Kind of off topic, but what's your favorite retro game? Ooh, that's an interesting question, actually. That's actually an interesting question. What I guess what you mean by retro game is just like a really old ass video game, right? Um, mm, that is an interesting question, actually. That's a good one. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. When enhance is clear cut, yeah. What Windows settings should have been. Honestly, true. If Windows settings was just Winhance, that would probably be pretty good. I'm not hating none of you two, but in my opinion, none of you won this argument because you both proved points about his debloater as he did with yours, which is also confusing, so I don't really know. I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to. I don't. This isn't an argument to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get into some kind of, you know, some kind of argument, some kind of back and forth drama thing. That I'm not trying to do that to begin with. I think he brings up. He's definitely brought up a lot of points with our stuff that I think he's very misinformed about, and I think he very much misunderstands cybersecurity and stuff like that. I really think he's very I really think he is not. I think he misinterprets a lot of things, but I will say this: uh, I think he does make a couple of decent points about our debloater. Like, yeah, we do ask you to temporarily turn off a real-time protection to run Talon, unless if you do the IRM trick. If you do the if you run Talon via the IRM IEX thing, the same way you run his script, you don't have to even mess with Defender at all. But if you want to run Talon by like downloading and running the exe, you do have to temporarily turn off Defender. And so, you know, that is definitely something to be skeptical about. Like any program asking you to disable Defender like that, you should be skeptical. So actually, if anything, I'm actually happy that people aren't just blindly trusting us. You know what I mean? I'm happy that people are being skeptical about that, because that's always what I'm preaching. Is to be skeptical about any tool like that. Is optimizing mid to high end PCs worth it? For most of it, or most of it just low end ones. If your goal is getting more performance and optimizing and stuff, low to mid tier PCs, you know, running a debloater for that purpose is a solid way to go. For a high end PC, you're really not going to see much more of a performance improvement, and that's just coming. That's for any Windows debloater, right? Um, but it's I would say it's still worth it to run it on those PCs just to clear out the garbage, to clear out the AI, to clear out the telemetry and all that stupid shit. Opinions on Rafire's Win Debloat. Pretty reliable and trusted one. Yeah, very much so. Rafire is a very talented developer. Win 11 Debloat's been around for a long time. Oh, excuse me. And I have really bad acid reflux and heartburn and stuff. Sorry about that. Rapfire is a talented developer. Win 11 Debloat has been around for a long time. It's very mature, very stable, very good option. I came to tell about Windows LTSC has support for Windows 10 until 2032. So maybe you can still consider to make Talon for Windows 10 too. What do you think? I think most people are not going to be downloading an enterprise LTSC version, flashing it to their PCs and stuff, right? You got to think Talon's target audience. A lot of different debloaters are targeting more tech savvy users. Talon, the goal is to be targeting less tech savvy users. So, you know, I don't think less tech savvy users are going to be installing Windows LTSC versions and stuff, you know. A lot of the other debloaters are great options if you are more a tech savvy person, but Talon's definitely, that's not really the focus, you know. Like, it's all about target audience there, I think. Oh, there's a squirrel outside. There's people chatting now. Only thing Freely did is put KO's work into VirusTotal, criticizing the idea of the tool being exe. I haven't watched his video yet, so I don't know anything about that. But I will tell you this: VirusTotal is a very misunderstood tool. I might actually, you know, honestly, would you guys like me to make a video like delving into deep about VirusTotal and antiviruses in general and stuff, explaining a lot of misconceptions about them? Because that is definitely, honestly, a topic that I'm very interested in. VirusTotal is a very misunderstood tool. A lot of people will upload tools to it. A lot of people will upload programs to it and go, look, there's some red, so that must mean it's malware, right? But that's honestly because VirusTotal is a tool for cybersecurity professionals. You know what I mean? It's not a tool for less tech savvy people and stuff like that. So a lot of people misunderstand it. You know what I mean? Yes, 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 yes. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Okay, I'll do that. Expect my next video or the video after it. I'm not sure, whatever order. Expect a video coming very soon. I'll do that. I don't mind doing that. I'll do that. He criticized the idea of KO installing from his website instead of being on GitHub. But KO literally replied to that with his security concerns. Have you guys seen the GitHub uptime chart? Hold on, can I? Yeah, GitHub stat. Where is it? These are like all the different these are all the different ones. Hold on, where is it? Where do I find the chart that everyone's been looking at? This isn't it. Incident history, is that it? Uptime, is this it? Damn, how do you where is that page that everyone's pulling up? Have you guys seen the GitHub? Okay, look, you can look at it yourself, but have you guys seen the GitHub uptime? It's literally like I think it's like 90, isn't it like 99 per it's 98%, isn't it? Or it's 99.98 or something. Whatever it is. Yeah, GitHub's been struggling. I've seen it. Yeah. Look, I'm just saying there's been a lot of reasons not to host your shit on GitHub. We have our own infrastructure hosting our exes to download them and stuff because at least in that way we control them and we control the infrastructure. Oh. Just a fucking test. Sorry, I got one of those like Amber Alert things on my phone. It was just one of the test ones. Here, let me the Raven Twitter account actually talks about this a bit. Where is it? I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it. 91% uptime. I was giving them credit. 91% uptime. Look at that. They've had 80 incidents in the last 90 days. Need I say more? Now imagine if we were relying on that for all of our users to be downloading our tool. Like, like literally, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good like idea to be relying on that infrastructure for that, right? Here, let me get the chat back pulled up. I think I skipped over some stuff on accident. Couldn't you theoretically fix those false positives causing Talon to trigger Defender? And what exactly would you say is triggering it? So actually, let me go ahead and explain this. So let me go ahead and pull up like a little whiteboard here for you guys. So I'll go ahead and delve into this a little bit again, although again, I'll be making the full video about it. So the way antiviruses work is think of them as dumb, right? Antiviruses don't have context, okay? So like in the context of a Windows debloater, it makes perfect sense that the tool is going to be uninstalling apps, running scripts, doing all that stuff, right? Like that's expected behavior of a debloater. But antiviruses, let's say this is the antivirus. Let's say this is, hold on, I'll draw a little shield. Oh yeah. Can't you tell I'm an art major? So let's say, they don't have context that this is a debloater, you know what I mean? So whenever you download an exe or whenever you download any file, it doesn't just have to be exes. It can be any file. Like PowerShell scripts can be detected as false positives too. Then your antivirus will check this file without the context that it's a debloater, and it'll see that this debloater is making a lot of these changes to your system and stuff like that, right? And then whenever it sees that stuff, it's going to report that oh, this is malicious. You know what I mean? This is bad, because a lot of debloaters exhibit behavior of malware, and that's all that antiviruses are looking for. And behavior checks are called signatures with antiviruses. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this term before with antiviruses, but all antiviruses are looking for is signatures. They're trying to see matches, right? To see if a tool behaves like malware, and that's how a lot of these debloaters work. Is they behave similarly to malware because they're making system changes, running scripts, doing all that stuff, right? Now, the way that tools like even Freethy's tool, the way that they bypass Windows Defender and the way that they bypass signatures like this is that they don't write a file to disk at all. You don't download Freethy's tool. You don't download WinUtil. You don't download Rafi's Win11 Debloat. You don't download a lot of these other tools. Instead, what they do is they do this trick that looks something like this, right? They'll have you run this command that's like IRM or IWR, and then like a URL, and then pipe it to IEX. This is called a pipe in PowerShell. So they'll pipe it to IEX. So basically, what they're doing is they're invoking a request, a web request. They're fetching this script, and then they're passing it to IEX. That's what the piping means. It means like run this, then whatever the result of this is, give it to this. That's and IRM is just for fetching stuff, and then IEX is what actually runs the stuff. Now, the reason why this works is because instead of writing files to the disk, instead of actually downloading a file, you're just fetching a script from the internet, and then you're storing it in memory. There's a difference obviously between your computer's storage and your computer's RAM, your computer's memory. So it just fetches a script and stores it in memory, and then most of the time, Defender isn't going to be checking that because it's just in memory like that, and then they run it with IEX. Now, this works great because I'm sure you guys have noticed, most Windows debloaters are just written in PowerShell. The reason why is because, and then you'll see that they're running this way. The reason why is because if you're fetching pure PowerShell from this manner, and then you're IEXing it, then it's just going to sit in memory. It's never going to write files to disk, and then you're never going to have an issue. Talon recently actually now has the option to IRM IEX it, but it's still an EXE, obviously. So how do we get around that? The script that you IRM IEX, and actually, I'll go ahead and show this here. So if I go to this script, debloat.win, normally you would IRM IEX debloat.win, but if you just look at it directly, we put a little message here like, are you lost, in case of people visit here. This is a PowerShell script for running Talon via PowerShell, obviously. And then if you scroll down here, I can actually explain all the code. So this does require PowerShell version 5.1, which is the built-in version of PowerShell, obviously. And then if any errors occur, it stops the script. It's defining a bunch of functions. We'll get to that. With a lot of programming languages like Python or PowerShell, you define everything first, and then you tell it what to do after. So it prints a little message saying like, hey, heads up, this is what happens. It waits for you to give your input. After that, it's going to run ensure admin. Now, what ensure admin is it just makes sure that if you're actually running as administrator, because you need to be running PowerShell as if I just open PowerShell not as administrator, then running the script this way isn't going to entirely work. You need to run PowerShell as admin. All of these debloater scripts do this. Oh, excuse me. So then it's setting some variables. And it's just setting a couple of values, right? And what it's doing here is it's just saying like where the temporary directory is hosted. It's saying new Talon temp folder base path base. Let's look at new Talon temp folder here. All this function is doing is it's just creating a folder on your computer and the temporary cache of your system. Every system has a temporary cache. I'm sure you guys have heard that term cache, temporary cache, whatever. And it's at %temp%. If I hit enter right now, it would bring me to it, but I'm not going to. This just creates a folder in temp, right? And then what it has to do is then it's going to add a quick Defender exclusion. So this way, it's because you got to think, this isn't, Talon's not pure PowerShell. It's the EXE that it's actually going to have to download and run and stuff. So this is slightly different than how most of these other scripts work, where you're just IRM IEXing the straight up PowerShell, where it's just this monolithic PowerShell file. Talon actually requires you, we're not going to rewrite Talon entirely in PowerShell. So before it downloads Talon, it adds a temporary Windows Defender exclusion, and it adds it not to your entire C drive. It adds it to just this temporary folder. And then what it does is it's going to look for the Talon exe. It's going to download it from this download URL. Yes, it's hosted on our own infrastructure. We don't want to host our exes on GitHub, sue us, right? We want to be in control of our own infrastructure. I don't think that wanting to be in control of your own infrastructure is inherently bad. But what we do afterwards, and this is an important thing that Freethe's Winsuck script fails to do, and this was my big issue with whenever he downloads from his own personal GitHub repositories. Uh, if he's downloading from his own personal GitHub repositories, at least do a hash verification. What a hash verification is all you're doing is you're just checking a file, because all files is data, and data can be converted to this string called a hash, right? This like big blob of numbers and letters and stuff. And this string of like numbers and shit represents a file. Now, the way hashing works through complex math and cryptography and shit, I'm not going to get into all of that, is the no hash can be the same. No two files can have the same hash, in theory at least. So you know, if I have a version of Talon, right? If I have Talon right here, if I change even a single letter in Talon, if I add even just an extra space anywhere in Talon, that gives it a completely different hash. And that's how you can tell if a file is what you say it is, right? So when this downloads Talon, it runs a verify file hash, and it gives it the actual, this is the hash of the Talon zip file, the talon.zip file that you download. This is the hash right here. So it's actually going to be verifying that the hash is the proper one. That way you're not just blindly trusting our infrastructure, because, you know, I'm sure he'll probably make this point, but our download infrastructure can be hacked. That's true. And download infrastructure can be hacked, right? And that's part of my argument I was even throwing at him, right, with his personal repo. Our download infrastructure can get hacked, and then maybe they try to serve up a malicious file. At least if you're running Talon this way, and it'll do a hash verification check, so that way, if it tries to serve you up a different file, it's going to not accept it. It's going to say, this is not the same hash, this is bad, this is not good, and it's going to deny it, right? That's the entire point of the hashing system. So then after it confirms the file hash is good, if it confirms the file hash is good, it's going to extract the zip file, it's going to find the exe, then it's going to run Talon, and it's going to run it with the headless argument to make sure that it runs headless. And then it's going to clean up everything after. Then it's going to remove the exclusion automatically, and then it prints completion, and then you're good. So that's a bit of a deep dive into that specific like IRM-IEX script, and that should hopefully explain Defender a little bit better. That IRM-IEX thing is a clever trick by many debloating scripts to circumvent Defender. And his script does it too. That's why his script doesn't get any false flags with Defender and stuff, and that's why Talon does, is because Talon's an exe that you actually run like a regular program, rather than having you run it through like, Talon's an actual program rather than being just this long-ass, you know, PowerShell script, and rather than having you do it all that, right? Let me catch up because I wasn't reading the chat while I was doing that. I remember you saying that there's issues with websites gathering data to sell to advertisers, like JavaScript being able to facilitate that. What? What? The issue I have is that there's already software to turn off JavaScript, but websites can crash because of it. Are you planning to solve this issue? Get an ad blocker, I suppose. Just get an ad blocker. Ad blockers, like uBlock Origin, block a lot of trackers. I have to be clear, for YouTube's TOS, I'm not saying use it on YouTube, but you know, ad blockers are solid for blocking trackers and blocking ads and stuff like that. I have PTSD from all the people using VirusTotal results and pirate subreddits asking if their PCs will blow up. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Heartburn is a bitch and a half. I'll tell you guys that. You know the amount of retakes I have to do, the amount of cuts I have to do in my videos because my heartburn is just so fucking bad. I need to go see a doctor anyway. Honestly, need to fix my diet is what I need to do. Eat like a pig. Please make one for Windows 10. There's still a lot of time till 2032. That is on the LTSC versions. And as I mentioned earlier, our target audience is less tech-savvy users, and less tech-savvy users are not going to be they're not going to be downloading IoT LTSC versions just for extended support like that. Funny thing is GitHub removed that page. Thankfully, oh, did they remove that page? That's why I couldn't find it. Okay, that explains a lot. They removed that uptime page. That's crazy. Are we talking about the new one? Did you guys see that the Winsucks guy made a video slandering Talon? Again, I haven't seen it yet. Also, I would be careful using, bold language like that. I'm only saying that because I want to make sure we're not just having a little hate brigade here about it, right? So technically, PowerShell scripts are a vulnerability. Well, any code is. He clipped KO out of context, saying to exclude the C drive for the Talon install and turn comments off. At least in his first video I watched, he did kind of clip that out of context without me mentioning the fact that it's temporary. You can turn it back on, and the big difference I think is that his script turns Defender off and is doing all that shit right without your consent, versus Talon is saying like you're choosing to do this, you're doing it manually. You know what I mean? But either way is a risk, right? And I'm not denying that. Disabling Defender and stuff even temporarily to run Talon is risky. You are putting trust in me. You're putting trust in our infrastructure. You're putting trust in Talon, right? He's got a point there whenever he's talking about like turning off Defender. Talon does this too. He has a good point there, that it does ask you to do that, and that is potentially risky to your safety and security. I mean, I'm not denying that. You're putting trust in Talon by doing that. I once made I'm not gonna read that. How do you even begin to create your own infrastructure? Just like self-hosting? No, we have a hosting provider. Obviously they have servers and data centers and stuff, and we just we're basically renting a server from them. We purchase a server from them and we're paying monthly, and we have our own just download infrastructure. It comes with like bandwidth allocations, and it has like storage limits and stuff, and that's just what we do. And then obviously the I'm sure you guys probably noticed, but the actual like way to download Talon is like it's like a DL dot then our domain, then it's like /git, and then it has like that stuff. We created this Git endpoint for downloading the stuff, so that way we can kind of gate the downloads and prevent bots and enforce rate limiting and stuff like that, since we had an issue with that before. Usually Cloudflare service workers or Google Cloud. Nah, we're just using a service provider, and we're rather than like just having them run all our stuff for us, we're actually running our own stuff. You know what I mean? We actually built the download infrastructure from scratch ourselves, but it's just on a hosted server. Good stuff. Thanks. Do you raw code the exe, or do you use another tool to create /edit Talon then compile? It's written in Python, and then we convert it to an exe. In one of your YouTube posts, why do you claim the snippet of code for safe boot prevents booting into it, even though it's not for booting into safe mode in the next boot? So I actually made a pinned comment on that on my analysis video I made addressing some of the things that I misunderstood in my video, because I actually got a couple of technical aspects wrong in my video, which makes sense. That's exactly why you shouldn't just be blindly trusting everything a YouTuber says, including myself, right? In that video, I did make minor inaccuracies. In the video, let me just read from the pinned comment here. So, where is it? Did I talk about the safe boot thing in the comment? Did I not mention the safe boot thing in the comment? Oh, I should probably edit that to include. In the video, I mentioned that the script fucks with safe boot and stuff. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the video. And it does do that. The script WinSucks does do that. It does definitely. It messes with. God, I'm losing my train of thought hard. Sorry. Let me start over here. Jesus fucking Christ. So WinSucks, the way it works is whenever it restarts your computer, because WinSucks restarts your computer a couple of times, in order to run a portion of the script, it wants to run it in safe mode. How does it do that? Well, it does that by modifying the safe mode thing to disable safe mode temporarily, and it's enabling safe mode temporarily. The script is fucking with safe mode. It's fucking with your boot process. And in the video, I mentioned that like this can corrupt your system and prevent you from being able to log in completely and stuff like that, which is technically correct, but I said it in a very absolute manner. when in reality there's a heavy risk of it if anything goes wrong with the script, but it's not like a guaranteed it's going to break your PC thing, obviously. And I think I mentioned, I think I failed to mention in the video that it does turn the safe mode thing back on afterwards. Hopefully I explained that well. I feel like I kind of explained that a little poorly there just now. I don't have any kind of script or whatever that I'm working off right now. You know, I'm talking out of my ass right now. So you guys bear with me here, my slow ass. In one of your YouTube posts, you claim... Oh, that's what I just read. Oh, okay. Also, water makes it easier for the acid to come up in your pipe. Oh, you're talking about my... I was a little confused for a second. I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm thinking in my technical brain, you're talking about my heartburn and my acid reflux and stuff. Yeah, I should probably go drink some milk, huh? Apologies if my previous messages were hostile. Honestly, I realize that even with all the hate Freevee is getting, he does have the ability to make this, to take this situation way better. I didn't think that any of your messages were hostile, my dude. I actually really appreciate your questions. I don't think that your questions were hostile at all. That's why I'm doing this stream. I'm doing this stream to answer difficult questions, right? Because I want to make sure I'm being honest with you guys. I want to make sure I'm being real with you guys. I want to make sure that I'm listening to what you guys have to say, answering stuff head on. You know what I mean? So, no, I actually really appreciated your questions, my dude. I didn't think that they were hostile at all. I started learning this this once. Oh, you're still talking about... God, you keep talking about the acid reflux thing. I'm getting in my technical brain, and then this guy keeps pulling me out of it. I hope when the hostility dies down that he improves his script based on your criticisms. Yeah, I feel like he's definitely taken what I've said very personal, and I feel like it's very easy to do that, especially when it's easy to feel attacked when you are receiving hate speech. You are, or not hate speech, but harassment. You are receiving, like he mentioned, death threats, stuff like that. Like if I were receiving that, I would obviously feel attacked too. So I don't blame him for feeling attacked at all because of that. But I do hope that he takes my criticism in the way it was intended, and he either that he improves his script, because I definitely think the way it is right now is not good. KO copied their codes. KO is laziness. I don't quite understand what that means. Could you elaborate on what that means? What does that mean? Okay. Although I thought ad blockers just turn off ads. Do they also prevent data storing from websites? Well, you're never going to prevent data storing from websites. I'll tell you that now. But uBlock Origin, I can only speak to uBlock Origin because that's the ad blocker I use. They definitely block a lot of background trackers and stuff too. Please be advised against utilizing code attributed to KO, as it has been observed that such code may incorporate elements from other sources without proper attribution. Oh, you guys are talking... Okay, yeah, you guys are talking... Okay, so this guy's talking about how Talon is an automation of two other debloater tools, Rafi's 111 Debloat and Chris Titus Tech's WinUtil. Let me go ahead and actually show you guys something really quick. I don't know if I've ever shown this publicly. There we go. Here, let me go ahead and show you guys this, actually. I feel like it'd be worth showing. I think my webcam's in the way. So I mentioned this was February 10th of 2025. So this was more than a year ago. This message exchange you're about to be reading was more than a year ago. So I said, hi, Chris. I've been working on a tool called Talon, a Windows debloating tool that is designed to be as simple as possible. Tools like your own CTT WinUtil are fantastic and really good debloaters. However, they aren't very accessible to quote-unquote normies. Trying to get someone who isn't very tech-savvy to run PowerShell commands and checkboxes and whatnot is something that many of them would just give up on doing because it would be too much effort. That's why I've been making Talon. The main Talon application doesn't actually deal with CTT WinUtil. A second executable called, this is outdated information, the way Talon was in very early on versions of it were really shit. This bit of information right here is inaccurate, where I'm talking about like how it handles CTT when util, blah 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 blah. But this part is true. It does run CTT when util as a sub process using PowerShell, and then passes arguments to using a JSON file to automate it. The main executable uses, again, that part's wrong. The reason I'm messaging you is because I would like to know how you would want me to go about licensing and crediting. I believe that crediting you fairly is very important, and I want to make sure that I do it in a way that's very comfortable to you. Because because of the way Talon goes about using CTT when util, it does create a bit of a unique situation where the way I'm supposed to credit you is a little challenging. I would really appreciate if you can answer some of the following questions for me. I've already credited you in the repositories README. Do I need to include the MIT license for CTT when util in the license file as well? Would you like me to also credit you in the Talon again, that part's wrong there. If the answer is yes to the last question, do you want me to include the license in the main repository? Blah, 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 right? Is that all? No, that is all. And then I said, oh, I forgot to mention as well, part of why this is such a confusing thing for me too is because neither the blah, blah, blah actually contain any code from your project. And that is true even now. The Talon repository doesn't have CTT when util's code in it. Talon doesn't have CTT when util's code in it. And then by me saying that, you may be confused though. You may be like, well, how does Talon use CTT when util if it doesn't have any of its code in it? And it's because at build time, at the time of compiling all the code into the exe, that's when it downloads CTT when util. If you go look at the GitHub repository right now, I'll go ahead and look at this. Yeah, if we go to Talon right here, you will not find Chris Titus's code anywhere to be found in here. And the reason why is because at the time of turning the code into an exe file, that's when it downloads CTT when util. And then it just bundles it inside the zip file. So it uses CTT when util, but it doesn't have its code in it, right? And then he said, I'm not sure on the license, but you're free to use what you need, and if you want credit me, that's cool, but don't feel obligated to. I picked obligated to, I meant. I picked MIT because it seemed the least restrictive license I could find. I said, well, I greatly appreciate that. Again, I love what you do. Thank you very much again. And then I mentioned that we could be working together someday in the future too. So I don't think I've ever shown these publicly, but this is an exchange I had with Chris Titus. This is the real Chris Titus on Twitter. And this is a message exchange that we had, again, more than a year ago. So he is okay with me using his tool in Talon. And Talon is essentially just a glorified automation. What Talon is it's an automation. You know what I mean? It takes scripts, it takes stuff like that, and then rather than you having to manually check all the boxes, rather than you having to manually run everything, it's just automating the process for you to make it easier. That is the entire purpose of Talon, right? So it itself is not necessarily. It's a script. It's a tool. God, I am blabber. Jesus fucking Christ. Talon is a automation tool that just runs other scripts in an automated fashion rather than you having to run them manually. That's the entire point I was getting at. I was really fucking, wow, I really was losing the plot there. Jesus Christ. Do you have any proof WinSucks actually does harm to the PC? Well, read the code. Read the code. It's doing many things that definitely drastically increase the risk of instability on your system. And then it's also doing, I can't prove the guy's intent, right? And that's the whole, I've been saying that from the start. I can't prove Freethy's intent with his script or whatever, right? I'm not going to argue the man's intentions or motives or whatever. But what I can say is that the script does stuff to your computer that definitely drastically harms the security and the stability of your system. That I firmly stand by. You said his script is bad, but your script was looked up months ago by John Hammond too. Yeah, that's true. If you guys want to look into that, although he did look at an old version of Talon, that analysis John Hammond did was quite a long time ago. John Hammond's a security researcher, a very popular security researcher. He's one of the most popular security researchers, I think. And he did actually do like a full analysis of Talon's code. So you can watch that if you want. And his conclusion was that Talon is very janky and very messy, but it is he wasn't able to find anything that was illegitimate. And his John Hammond's only concern was, well, does it turn Defender back on afterwards? I think he just didn't know that Windows Defender turns itself back on after a restart, which Talon automatically performs an auto restart. But yeah, John Hammond made that video. Just keep in mind, if you do go watch that, it is an older version of Talon. So it is like the older Talon code and everything. The way Talon was before was pretty janky. It did some stupid stuff. Talon's a lot better now. Talon's a lot better now. Why are you against WinSucks disabling hypervisor features like core isolation, even though it is shown to have big performance impact even on high-end CPUs? Because you're disabling integral kernel level protections of your system that are very crucial to making sure that your system doesn't listen. Kernel level protections aren't going to prevent you from getting malware, but they're going to prevent malware from doing some seriously nasty stuff on your computer. That much is very that's why I say you should never turn it off just for a little bit more performance. And I disagree that it gives you a bunch of performance. I disagree that it gives you a big performance impact. It doesn't. It doesn't give you that much of a performance difference. It gives you a minor performance difference, and the security compromise, that the trade-off isn't worth it. Was the point that is my big point there. The trade-off of security risk for a little bit more performance there is not worthwhile. And that's just my take. Some people disagree with me, clearly. Do just talk to Chris Titus? Yeah, I did. Because and that message exchange was before I officially published Talon, right? Before Talon was made available to the public. I made sure to get his permission beforehand. So yeah, I didn't know if I was okay. If it wasn't okay with Chris to use his tool, I wouldn't have used it. But that's why I just went and asked him. Both of the tools that Talon uses have MIT license, so it's fine to do whatever with them. Well, not to do whatever with them, but yeah, it is. Talon's usage of the tools is permitted by their licenses. Technically, actually, per the license that WinUtil uses, I didn't even have to ask Chris, but I went the extra mile to ask him to make sure he was okay with it, because I wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with it, You guys are getting into a lot of discussion here. I see you guys pinging a lot of each other and stuff in the chat and stuff. So there's like kind of a, guys, don't turn this chat into like a zone for arguing, okay? Don't be getting into keyboard warrior arguments in this chat. Please end the keyboard warrior back and forths in the chat. Don't listen. There's no need to be getting into like arguments and stuff here. Simple solution: don't use any Windows Debloater and run Windows as is. True. This guy Happy Fatal here, he makes a good point. If you don't want to deal with the potential risks of any of these Windows debloaters, the security risks that come from any of them, Talon included, there are security concerns with Talon too. Because you have to be trusting that the software is safe, that it's well written and stuff. If you don't want to have to be dealing with like whether I have to trust them or not, or whether it's malware or not, or anything like that, just don't run them. He makes a very good point. That is the simple solution. He is right, completely. If you don't want to be dealing with any of these security concerns, just suck up and deal with regular Windows as it is. Or you can look it up and do all the steps manually yourself. Debloat manually. Make sure that you're doing it yourself. That can be a good way to make sure that you know everything that's happening to your machine. Just joined. Sorry if this is a repeated question. Have you heard from the guy that did the script? Like personally, I have not talked to Freethy personally. No, I have not had any discussions directly with the guy. I actually was considering it. I was considering reaching out to him via Twitter because he seems active on Twitter. I was thinking about messaging him on Twitter and trying to talk to him privately, but he disabled messages by the time I wanted to do that. He disabled private messages, so. Which I'm guessing is because of the harassment and stuff he's been getting, which is fair. I think a reason why this stirred drama is because of the timing. Breathy just sort of got back into the tweaking scene, and there are about 15 plus more unknown obscure Discord tweakers that basically do. I did not know that part. Second, the same thing, but KO saw the video and made the decision. Could he have picked others? Yeah, but that's just not how it turned out. Are you, oh, excuse me. Are you talking about how people are arguing, like, well, why are you going after this tool specifically and not others? Because I have seen people argue that. I have seen people argue, like, well, for me, for like, why aren't you covered? And actually, I think he argued that too. He's like, why aren't you going after custom ISOs? Why aren't you going after other debloaters? Why aren't you going after that stuff, right? That's just because this is the one that my audience recommended to me, and this is the one that I looked at, right? I think it's unreasonable to expect. I think it's really unreasonable to expect me to go after every single debloater under the sun and review every single one of them in full, right? I think that's a bit unnecessary. The reason why I picked his tool is simply because I got a couple comments and people asking me like, "Hey, is this tool legit?" You know, and so I looked at it and then I made an analysis. I will say this though, even though it's a bit unrealistic to ask me to look at every single debloater under the sun and stuff, I'm doing it anyways. I am doing that. I have a video in progress right now where I'm going over like every single debloater I can find, including the obscure ones. So that'll be fun. That video should be coming out someday soon. It takes a long time to make a video like that though. Yeah, I think it seemed targeted. Seems targeted for that reason, but it's not. Yeah, no, it's simply not. It's simple. I wasn't targeting Freethy specifically. It was just a matter of he's the one that people were asking me to look at, and so I did. You know, I was skeptical too, but you just chose one video and that's it. Yeah, I'm not trying to make this personal. You know, like you said, not personal because it isn't. This whole situation isn't personal to me, not at all. How do you tackle the if you care about performance, just use Linux talking point? Pretty simple. Not everyone wants to use Linux. Some people have software that only works on Windows. Some people have games that only work on Windows. Some people's work requires them to use Windows. And then some people, like me, just simply prefer Windows over Linux. Some people just don't want to. Just don't want to install a whole nother system and have to learn that system because Linux is an entire fundamentally different system than Windows. So there is a learning curve. And some people just don't want to have to go through that learning curve, you know? Who's making that talking point? I can answer that for him here. I've seen that a lot in my comment sections. A lot of people saying like, "Oh yeah, if you want to debloat Windows, just switch to Linux." I've seen a lot of people saying that, and the simple answer is just I want to use Windows. I prefer Windows. I want to use Windows. It's better for my workflow. I personally used Linux for about a year and some change on my desktop here, and I use it for about 2 to 3 years on my laptop. And after using Linux for all that time, I think that I just prefer Windows better. On that note, I appreciate you talking about it. My time here spent was really good, and I regret nothing. Haha. But you have a good one, dude. Hope you keep on keeping on. Subscribed. Well, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, Mickey V. I really appreciate that, bro. And I appreciate you asking me some questions and stuff, and listening to what I have to say. I appreciate that, man. Do you have any knowledge on Spicefy? It downloads through PowerShell. Wondering if you think it's safe. I actually, Spicefy. That sounds familiar. Let me look that up. That sounds familiar because I think I've used it before. Actually, I think I've used Spicefy before. Yeah, I've used this. I've used this. I stopped using it because I stopped using Spotify. But I back when I used to use Spotify, I used that. Yeah, I think Spicefy is cool. I can't confirm to you if it's safe or not. I haven't like audited the code or anything myself, but I used it for. I can say that I used to use it for a while. This was a long while ago, and I mean it was good back then. I didn't notice any issues. I thought it was cool. Could you compare the differences between the debloaters you're going to review for your upcoming video and your one? Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah. So the very first debloater that I showcase in the video is mine, and I do that to set a baseline, and then every other debloater after that, I'm talking about what I'm looking for in a debloater and my principles and stuff, and then I'm comparing and stuff like that. Yeah, that is in the video. We've been going on for roughly an hour and 45 minutes now on this stream. Pretty long stream, fellas. Hey, I'm here for you guys though. If you guys have any more questions or concerns or whatever, I'm here to answer them. I want to make sure I'm making myself available to you guys, you know what I mean, and addressing this stuff head on. I want to make sure I'm not just like ignoring the hard questions. I want to make sure I'm getting asked the hard questions. I want to make sure I am putting myself in the crosshairs, you know? Because I think that's important to do. Again, all your questions, just make sure they abide by YouTube's TOS. And other than that, it's about good. You know, you can pretty much ask me anything, right? I need to shave. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I finally bought some razors. I ran out of razors. I finally bought some razors, so I should be shaved after this. Chat's gotten a bit quiet. Is that on my end, or is that just everyone's gotten more quiet? I mean, if you guys ran out of questions to ask, then I can end the stream here. But I want to make sure that, you know, I've answered all of your guys' concerns first. Do you guys have any more questions, comments, concerns? Sup, brother? Hope all is well. Hello, man. I want to know more about you outside of the tech world. What's your favorite series, movie, game, retro game, etc.? Favorite series? Ooh, either Better Call Saul or it would either be Better Call Saul or Inside Job, I think. Inside Job is a fucking amazing show that they canceled for Big Mouth. They canceled my favorite show for another season of fucking Big Mouth. I hate Netflix so much. I hate Netflix. I hate Netflix. It was such a good show. It like makes fun of conspiracy theories and stuff. It's so fucking funny. My favorite movie. Shit. Favorite movie, I don't think I could give you a single answer. Because honestly, I have quite a few movies that I really like. Something you should know about me, I don't watch a lot of movies though. Mickey 17 is up there. Shawshank Redemption's up there. Saving Private Ryan's pretty good. God, I'm trying to think of other movies. There's a lot of good. No Country for Old Men's definitely up there. Retro game, I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I still haven't got the donator Discord role. I've tried to sync it through Buy Me a Coffee, but it doesn't work. Here, ping me in the Discord about that then, and I can try to help you with that after the stream. Let me help you with that after the stream. Got any plans for 50K sub special? Not particularly. Not necessarily. I guess I could try to come up with something. Who is the best tech software YouTuber? There is no single best tech software YouTuber. Anyone who tells you that there's a single best software or tech YouTuber in general is lying to you. There's no one size fits all. There's no single best solution ever. Any pointers on how to start with cybersecurity? I foresee that the industry is exploding soon. Yeah, with all the AI and shit going on, yeah, I can imagine the industry is about to be really booming soon. As for how to start with cybersecurity, learn the fundamentals. Before you can even learn cybersecurity, you have to learn computer science, and it's boring, right? Like my teacher was having us. My teacher was having us write. My teacher was having us count binary on paper. He was having us write on paper, write on whiteboards, and actually counting in binary, and then counting in hex, and then we were counting in octal, and then we had to convert binary to hex to octal and back, right? We had to be able to do that stuff, and we had to write it all on paper and show our work, but it really instills that into you, you know what I mean? It really teaches you the fundamentals, and then after that, you know, learned about kernels. We learned about stuff like you got to learn the fundamentals before you can even learn cybersecurity. After you learn the fundamentals, though, you it becomes a lot easier. Past that point, I think most of cybersecurity is self-taught. Really, just watch a lot of cybersecurity content. Try setting up your first virtual machine. Try hardening that virtual machine. Try your first basic malware analysis. You know what I mean? Try doing a static analysis. Don't run malware in the virtual machine, because just in case if you didn't harden it properly. But just try deobfuscating an exe. Try taking an exe. Try taking a program and try breaking into it. Try reverse engineering it. Try figuring out. Try poking around at it. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Just learn how antiviruses work. That's really just cybersecurity is just about learning this stuff. And all it does is it just takes time and practice. Practice is your best move when it comes to cybersecurity if you want to learn. It's just a lot of practice and a lot of just learning and a lot of just being a nerd. Because I spend all of my free time doing cybersecurity nerdy shit. Literally, you want to know what I do to take a break from Talon, to take a break from Raven? I take a break from my cybersecurity shit to just do other cybersecurity shit. I'm always doing cybersecurity shit, so it's a lot of good practice. With Raven, do you have any more projects you're working on? And either way, do you have any idea of hiring more people to work with them? We're going to be hiring more people eventually. We're just not in a position to do that right now. And yes, we absolutely do have more stuff. So right here, Raven Search, right? We have a CRXNG instance that we run, which is just a search engine, right? We have other stuff. We have Alternet, the Alternet project, which we're building a decentralized networking protocol, much like HTTPS and DNS and stuff like that. We're building a decentralized networking protocol to fight censorship resistance at the network level. It is in active development, though. It's not finished yet. And then we do have BIN. BIN is an interesting tool because it uses a client-side encryption and it uses zero-knowledge cryptography to allow you to share text, to share files, to share data up to 5 gigabytes in size, and you can set how much time it lasts. You can temporarily share files where the server, Raven, we can't see what you're sharing. If I say poop butt, and then I create this bin, right? And then I get, it's going to take a second, and then I get a QR code, and then I get a link. I don't know if you guys can see the QR code and link here, but I get a QR code and link. And the way this works is that we cannot see the stuff that you upload, right? We can't decrypt it without having this you see this hashtag, and then it has this pound sign, and then it has this shit at the end of the URL. Anything that's in a hashtag, anything that's in a pound sign like that at the end of a URL that has stuff after it doesn't get sent to the web server. And this is true for any website, right? You can actually look this up. This is a fundamental part of how the web works. Anything after a hashtag in a URL does not get shared with the server. And this is the decryption key. This is how you decrypt the data and you're able to read it, right? And so that never gets passed to the server. This is just an ID of the data. So we have an ID of the data. We know when the data is going to expire, but then the actual data stored on the server just looks like jarbled, encrypted nonsense, right? It's just gobbledygook. We can't read it. We can't decrypt it without having this key, and this key never gets sent to us. So that's how it fundamentally works. And you can read more about it. There's a detailed like how it works. You can read it, how it's what are the limits, how is it funded, and stuff. There's a whole about page right here if you want to go check it out. It's ravenbin.com. It's a pretty cool tool if you want to just like be sharing files, temporarily sharing files around with yourself or other people, right? How come your Debloater needs real-time protection off, but Freethies doesn't? I explained this earlier in the stream, but I'll just summarize it again. His tool is written purely in PowerShell, and then also his tool uses the IRM, like open up PowerShell as administrator, then you have to paste this command that looks like IRM, and then a URL, and then it says like IEX, right? If you go look at it, you'll see that. Ooh. And that's true with most debloaters, right? Most debloaters do it that way. Talon doesn't. So That trick of doing like IRM IEX like that circumvents Windows Defender because the script is never saved as a file anywhere. It's stored in memory and then it's executed from memory. When Talon is actually an exe, so you actually need to download the file onto disk and then you need to run it that way. So it's going to get detected a lot more. Talon does have the option to run it with the IRM-IEX trick now, though, if you do want to use that now. And if you run Talon through the IRM-IEX method, the new method now, then it won't have any Defender issues. How'd you learn Windows systems so well, self-taught or school? All of the knowledge I have about Windows is self-taught. At least with Windows, all of the knowledge, because in school, all of the classes I took and stuff, we were always using Linux. So how did I learn Windows systems is purely through just tons of practice, tons of just messing around, right? I've bricked so many Windows systems just by toying around and fucking around. Um, Ever since I was like 5 years old, I think it was either 5 years old or like 6 years old. We had a family computer, and I was on that shit like every fucking day. So, and I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds of this, but I only went to kindergarten and I only went to half of first grade. And then from that all the way until I was at the age of sixth grade, all the way until sixth grade. I didn't go back to school until sixth grade, but in between that entire time, I was just at home and I was pretty much always on that computer. And so I just had a ton of time to just be toying around with Windows, playing around with it. I learned I was toying around with batch scripting. I was messing around with that shit. And I was just exploring how the system works, you know what I mean? And then I just got better over time. What will you do after finishing Talon? Talon will never be finished purely, I don't think. It will get to a point where it's just a matter of like maintaining it, really. We won't really be adding too many new features because it will get to a point where it's pretty much done. But Talon's ever evolving. There will never be like a final version. Have you consider doing any AI protecting advertisers, something like AI model that will help you answer how to protect your win? Oh, you mean like an AI model that helps answer questions about how to protect your Windows? AI is not good. AI is not good for that. Is the answer, honestly. We would never make some tool like that, honestly, because AI is not very smart when it comes to more complex topics like that. Should computing be a priority on school in this day and age? Absolutely. There should definitely be classes teaching you how to, like, I took a keyboarding class, which was only like a half semester class, but still, it, teaches you how to type properly, where to put your fingers on the keyboard, stuff like that. These are necessary skills for the modern day. So, absolutely. Even if not like teaching you deep aspects of computing and stuff, just teaching you the fundamentals of computers is important. Will you stream sewing the shirt? Show your craftsmanship with elegance with the coded Talon. Coding and crafting can't be too different, right? They both begin with C. What's up, Gallagher? Thanks for tuning in, man. It's nice seeing you, bro. No, I'm just. These are one of those shirts that you get out of like the packs of T-shirts from Walmart. I'm a cheap bastard. Bring back the free access network via aka fan. I don't know what that is. You using Brave over LibreWolf? Yes, I'm using Brave. I don't like LibreWolf that much, just personally for myself. I found that I liked Brave better. It has better compatibility, just runs better too. Will the Raven projects always be open source? Yeah. Should you be suspicious of a cybersecurity company creating proprietary software? Yes. You should always be cautious of code in general. Just because code is open source doesn't mean that it's safe. Just because code is open source doesn't mean that it's good. There's a lot of shitty open source code out there. There's a lot of malicious open source code out there. Uh, Malware can hide in open source code. It happens all the time. Um, so proprietary software is definitely more suspicious than open source software, but I wouldn't say it's like, open source software is immediately safe just because it's open source, right? You always got to be careful. You always have to put trust in the code you're running. or just always review the code. And that's the issue with proprietary software, is that you can't review the code. So, that's why you always have to be extra cautious with proprietary software. But as for Raven projects, Raven software will always be open source. Raven services may not always be open source. Ugh, excuse me. Like code that we have server side on our web servers and stuff may not always be open source, right? Just because that is a security risk on our end. If a security vulnerability gets found in that code, well, that's code running on our servers, right? That can be bad. But at least software that you're running on your computer, like Redact and like Talon and stuff, those will always be open source, always. And even we're planning on working on our own cloud hosting, not cloud hosting, but cloud storage solution. When that comes out, the client that you run on, we want to have a mobile app for it, hopefully, and the desktop app and all that stuff. Those will be open source too, obviously. We want to make sure that anything you're running on your computer is open source. I'm learning it now, and oh my god, it's so complicated compared to Windows when it comes to Active Directory and stuff. Compared to Linux, yeah, Active Directory is a cancer even I don't touch. Is there a reason to run Talon if you run a custom installation of Windows like Revision? If you're already running another Windows debloater, there's not a point in running another one on top of it. If anything, that could probably harm stability more. Would they be compatible? Maybe. Probably not. You know what I mean? Honestly, you really shouldn't be double layering two different full debloaters like that. Are there any more questions? Any more discussions you guys want to have? Anything more like that? Because I have time today, actually. I did allocate a good amount of time today to just be able to sit here and chat with you guys. It's a Thursday, you know what I mean? It's noon right now. It's 12 p.m. So I got plenty of time if you guys want to, if you guys have more questions to ask, anything like that. Let me ask you guys this: how has the stream been so far? How you guys feeling about the stream? Be real with me. Have I been answering the questions well so far? Do you guys still have any like points that you're a little confused on? Is there anything you guys maybe want me to explain a bit more in depth? So is Alternate up and running if I wanted to give it a try? Not right now. You can give it a try right now, though. It is We have the foundational parts of the proof of concept code implementation done so far. So like we have the bare bones basics, like we have the bare bones of the proof of concept finished now. So you can run that and you can check that out. But you really shouldn't, if you're talking about like up and running and you giving it a try as in like being production ready and using it full on, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't try using the pot code yet. I found it on GitHub, but it doesn't really say how to set it up. Yeah, that's because it's still early. You know what I mean? It's still not finished. You can run the end-to-end test, which proves that the foundation works so far, but you can't be running it full on just yet because it's still a work in progress. You know what I mean? It's not finished. Can you go over explaining Alternate on a for dummies format? Absolutely. In fact, actually, rather than filling up this whole stream explaining that, Raven has its own official YouTube channel now, separate from mine, because we're trying to separate that a bit better. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel for Raven if you want like updates about Talon and Alternate and stuff. But if you go to live, we actually just did a live stream about the foundation development milestone that we just completed. And you can go check this out. And we do a full explanation explaining what's done right now, what Alternate is right now, what we're working on so far, what we're like trying to make it be, and then we answer questions, we delve deep, we even draw illustrations and examples and stuff. And the actual developer of that we're hiring to actually develop this proof of concept is there for that stream too. So go give that a watch if you want that. Would running Talon after using WinHance be bad? Maybe. It's not. I haven't personally tested that, so I can't confirm or deny it. I would just say it's generally probably not a great idea, but I mean, if you did it, it might work, it might not. 50-50. Wouldn't be here if I didn't dig the vibe. We'll appreciate that. Well, I'm just want to make sure that the stream is going good so far. You know what I mean? If anyone here wants to ask me any like hard hitters about Talon or whatever, I'm here. I don't mind explaining. I just, when it comes to running Raven, when it comes to doing all the stuff that I do, I want to make sure that I'm being transparent with you guys. I never want to get to the point where you know how there's so many out of touch CEOs and executives in companies that only listen to their PR teams and they don't actually listen to their real audience, you know what I mean? So then they feel so out of touch. I never want to be out of touch with my audience like that. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that I'm hearing directly from you guys, reading the direct chat right here. Just want to say thank you for your debloater. It's night and day compared to stock Windows install. Well, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Are you thinking of decentralizing Raven away from yourself when it gets bigger? Like it would still be under your name, but it wouldn't be responsible alone on it. Yeah, absolutely. Raven's still early, you know what I mean? Raven wasn't even an actual LLC, wasn't even actually a proper legal company until this year, until January. So Raven's still very new, you know what I mean? And because of that, Raven is very much still is a smaller team. You know what I mean? It still heavily depends on me because it's me and like two other people basically that are running Raven. But obviously, as it grows bigger and stuff, we will be getting more people. We will be adding more of that decentralization, as you say, where it's like it depends less and less on me specifically. You know what I mean? But it's always going to remain under my like me being at the helm, making sure that I'm leading it, making sure that it's going in the direction that I like. For any newcomers, can you explain the ultimate end goal for Raven? Yeah, helping decentralize the web and promoting digital safety and privacy. That's the entire point. Is creating privacy and security focused solutions and stuff. So let me go to the website here. I mean, that's our entire tagline, right? Building infrastructure for a new digital age. That's what our title says on the website here. I can show it. That's what it says right here, and that's true. That's because our entire goal is just building infrastructure, just building digital infrastructure that meet our principles, that meet our values. And actually, Raven isn't just a name that we picked because it sounds cool. Raven is actually an acronym. So it stands for resilience, anonymity, versatility, equitability, and neutrality. These are our core principles, you know what I mean, that make up everything that we do. So we're building infrastructure, we're building software that meets our principles. That's the entire point, is just making sure that we are helping create a better world, a world that we want to live in. I'll tell you this right now, I don't want to live in a world where I have no privacy and I need to be uploading my ID to fucking everything. And, companies are constantly just sharing around my fucking personal information like a sexually contracted disease, right? I don't want people, I don't want that. I want to be able to have some privacy. I want to be able to actually own what I bought and paid for. I want to make sure that I actually have control over the systems that I'm using. So that's the entire point. It's just, making stuff that aligns with those values. It's like, a lot of big projects fail because of this. One guy gets too authoritarian and people just make separate projects based on the one they left because of minor inconveniences. Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Talon and Raven in general is definitely under my control. You know what I mean? I have the final say over it. It is definitely, what do they call it? Raven's definitely a dictatorship, you know what I mean? Where it's like I have the final say. Like Raven is my project. But that doesn't mean that I still want to make sure that I'm listening to you guys. You know what I mean? Taking what you guys say into consideration. Like I'm definitely not just going to be like going off and doing whatever the fuck I want kind of thing. I'm running Raven to make sure that everything we do aligns with our values. Uh, that's pretty cool. Didn't know Raven was an acronym. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. But it is actually an acronym. And we wanted to make sure. You see, the reason why we did an acronym for the name is because I wanted to make sure that Raven's core values are literally embedded into every fiber of Raven's being. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure that Raven's core values are literally built into the name. Oh, Jesus Christ, my oh my God, heartburn's a bitch. But I wanted to make sure that that when you read the name Raven, it actually means something, and that and when you embed your values that deeply into something from the very beginning, if Raven ever starts to stray away from its core principles and stuff like that, right? Like, it can be reeled back in because that's literally in the fiber of its existence. Can you guide me regarding cybersecurity? I already talked about that. I don't know if I really want to repeat myself there. Sorry about that. Hopefully you're okay with that. But I did already actually explain that. I did already get asked that earlier. Once Alternet's deployable, how are you going to get people to use it? I'm assuming the end goal is to supplant the current internet structure. Yeah, so the real world is built on incentives. You know what I mean? So it's very important that people actually are incentivized to use the alternate protocol beyond just altruism, beyond just I care about privacy, right? There needs to be actual incentives. So while we're still working on it, and I have no clear answer of what exactly those incentives are yet, because it's still early in the project, we don't know exactly what those incentives are going to be yet. We have a couple plans, we have some ideas in mind of what those are going to be. But we want to make sure that people are actually incentivized to use alternate, and hopefully that will draw in people. You know what I mean? I ask because your values and intentions align with Mr. Rossman. I very much respect Louis Rossman, and there definitely is a. If you pay too much attention, there definitely is a lot of overlaps between me and Louis Rossman in terms of our values, and that's because I actually, honestly, I get a lot of Louis Rossman. I get a lot of my values from him, and what I mean by that is like when I was younger and I was watching Louis Rossman and stuff like that, he really did help make me into the person I am today. I think I watched his videos a lot. I still do, and I keep up with the stuff he's doing. And right to repair, right to ownership, all that stuff. It means a lot to me, and his videos definitely helped me kind of shape my values into what they are today. I respect him a lot. I definitely got a lot of my values off of him. If you guys need any help with whatever, I would be willing to volunteer. I'm in school and have free time. I love what you guys stand for as far as privacy and for the people. I appreciate that, man. Seriously. If you want to help out, join our Discord server, man. I chat. I'm in there directly. I chat in our Discord server all the time. You can just talk to me directly in that Discord server if you want. Like, I try to make sure I'm very available to people. You know what I mean? So if you want to go in there and chat with me and stuff, you can absolutely help out. Either whether it be through helping us like beta test stuff we're working on, or whether it be like I know Talon's documentation right now needs updating. Ugh, what the fuck just happened there? Jesus, I'm getting drainage too. But Talon's documentation actually has a bounty up, like a paid bounty up right now. So if you guys, if you wanted to help update the documentation, you can get paid. It's not a ton of money, but it is a decent little bit of money if you want to help update the documentation. That would honestly be the biggest thing to help us out with right now. That would be very helpful. What's the name of the Discord server? Well, if you go to our website and you scroll down to the bottom here, the Discord link is right here under Connect. It's right here. Invite link is there. We have surpassed the 2-hour mark, fellas. We've been live streaming for 2 hours. God, this chair makes my butt hurt. Oh my God, this chair is not great. Ah! Ow, my ass hurts. Ow. Fuck. This chair sucks. I don't have my nice office chair anymore. I had to leave it behind when I moved. It wouldn't fit in the car. Are there any more questions from you guys? Any more things you guys want to talk about? If you guys are going quiet for a minute, I might actually take a second to go put a pillow on my ass. How do you stay sane? Man. Hell if I know. And also bold of you to assume I'm sane. No, I'm joking. But I don't think any cybersecurity engineer is wholly sane. Just make sure to go outside. Just make sure to spend some time with friends. Outside of this world. That's honestly the best way to stay sane. Have you seen the new video from Freedy? No, I have not. Not yet. Although I've heard about it. I have heard he made that video. I haven't watched it though. After this project or simultaneously, we should start building all the necessary devices to communicate and compute to replace the devices we're forced to use now, ones that are based on control. I know there's projects like that are going on. There's one in Australia going on where they're basically building radio antennas like all over the country. These people are like putting up these antennas all over the country, basically building their own internet that isn't controlled by any single authority. It's pretty cool. I don't know if anything in your area is like that, but if you want to look that up, I forgot what it's called. But it's a very cool project. They're driving all over the country and installing those, building their own uncensorable infrastructure. Basically, well, I say uncensorable. They still have to use radio frequencies and they still rely on those antennas and stuff. But you get what I mean. Any plans for any mobile applications? Well, we're working on our own cloud storage solution, and that will have a mobile app eventually, hopefully. Oh, the LoRa network. Hey, Oku. Oku's a member of Raven, everyone. Hey, Oku, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream, Oku. You're not a moderator yet. Let me go ahead and make you a moderator. There you go. Yeah, I think it's the LoRa network is what I'm talking about. Pretty sure. You guys happen to have any more questions, comments, concerns, anything you want me to talk about? Fine. How about you? I'm doing pretty good, man. As far as whether or not I'm gonna make like a video addressing Freebies video, I don't think I will. I might. I really don't think I will though, because I don't see any point in it other than just continuing drama. You know what I mean? Continuing that game of telephone. I don't see a point in it. I probably will make a video delving deep into VirusTotal and how that tool is very misunderstood though, because I have seen a lot of people being confused about VirusTotal, and when I asked if you guys want me to make a video about VirusTotal and like how misunderstood it is and stuff, like I saw 5 yeses just immediately appear in the chat. So, how is Raven going to deal with any legal challenges that arise? Well, our software is licensed, and we do have our terms of service and stuff, which does clearly explain we don't give any warranty, right? Blah blah blah. But if any legal challenges are faced, then we would deal with them. We would obviously get legal. Make sure that we get a legal team and make sure that we deal with any situations like that properly. Yeah, there are a few projects about it. I believe one of the bigger ones was called Meshtastic. I heard about, yeah, that's one of them too. I think have been a long time since the last check though. Yeah, just look at Linux and Kali age attestation nonsense. Are you talking about how they're adding like age verification into Linux and stuff? I haven't looked into that too much. I just know that the Linux community is heavily overreacting. At least about the System D thing, where they added like this optional birth rate field. Um, I think that people severely overreacted to that one. Yeah, Meshtastic is one of those. I've seen a few videos and it's quite neat. Yeah, I haven't looked too deep into Meshtastic or any of these like radio building your own internet thing like that. But I from what I know, they seem pretty cool. We have been streaming for 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 33 seconds, fellas. It looks like it's gonna rain, honestly. Now I'm talking about the weather. You guys have anything more you guys want to talk about? Or are we about wrapped up here? I should do think it's gonna rain here. I should probably check the weather real quick. I'll do that. And while I do this, if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and ask them. No, it's not going to rain. It's just cloudy. Oh, yes, it is going to rain. It's going to rain tomorrow. Are we about wrapped up here, fellas? You guys got anything more for me? I want to make sure that I like get everyone's questions answered before I end the stream. I don't want to be like, well, he ended the stream, right before I was able to ask my question. So, oh Jesus fucking Christ. Because honestly, I need to go drink some milk. My heartburn is beating my ass. I guess someone has asked this before, but what's your stance on AI? Like personally, AI is a fantastic assistant. It's a cool technology. It's misused. AI is one of the most misused technologies I've ever seen in my life. AI is a cool technology, certainly. It's definitely neat. If I think AI is an interesting tool to help you with things like for example, if I'm coding, right, I write my code myself, but I do tend to write pretty shitty code. So sometimes I'll ask AI like, what are some ways I can make my code better? And I don't have it write the code for me, but I'll have it give me like bullet points, and I'll say like, well, you can do this, you can put this here, you can, stuff like that. And then I'll either do it or I'll have it show me how it would do it, and then I go about it. And then AI is a great assistant too if I'm working on something and I get this stupid error message and it's like this super long error message and I don't really know what it means. AI is really good at parsing what errors mean. You know what I mean? If I see like error code and I see all this shit and I see like it talking about like line here, and all that crap, it's pretty good at helping you. Like if you give it the right context, it can really help figure out what those issues are. And that's been very helpful with writing Talon, like it being able to help find errors and stuff. And then also I sometimes uses it to help me clean up my code because I actually write pretty messy code. So it's pretty good at for helping me clean my code up. You know what I mean? Like if I ask it to help me clean my code to make it more readable, sometimes it'll put in comments or sometimes it'll just like rename functions and stuff, trying to make it easier to understand. To be honest, I got no questions. I'm just waiting for Raven to get somewhere. Yeah, it's just one step at a time, man. Best firewall to use? Do you think of Simple Firewall? I just use Windows Defender Firewall, brother, on my PC. If you're talking about for like your router, I don't control the router here. It's not my router. I'm living here, you know what I mean? But it's not. I didn't set up the router. But at least on my PC, I'm just using standard ass fucking Windows Defender Firewall. TinyWall is pretty cool. It just requires you to manually. The only issue with TinyWall, it's very great for security, but TinyWall, you have to manually whitelist every application you want to have internet access, which is really good for high security environments, but for like average day to day use, it can get annoying. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that, man. The O girl, appreciate it. What's up? Hello, Tyler Reed. Welcome in, man. Question: does your company serve as an IT vendor for businesses or just focus on your software? We're not an IT firm in the standard sense. We have Bird's Eye, which is we do cybersecurity consultancy for businesses, and we also have a paid version of BIN, which I was talking about earlier, that businesses can get for their business. If they want to have their own allocated version of bin and that they can have full control and audit logging and all that stuff, we do that. And like I said, we have a cybersecurity consultancy, but we're not like a standard IT firm. If Raven gets big enough, would you consider physical infrastructure build up? What do you entirely mean? Do you mean like us running our own data centers and us running our own stuff? I'm sure that will come eventually as we scale up, but that's a massive endeavor. You know what I mean? You have to have a lot of money for that, and we're just starting out too. Without getting too personal, is your living situation doing good now? Oh yeah, my living situation's doing actually very well now. I need to go to the uh, whatever the fuck it's called, the DMV or whatever, right? And I need to give them the certificate and all that stuff. I need to schedule the appointment, to the vision appointment to get my eyes checked to make sure I'm good to drive. And then I need to take the final exam or whatever. I think you need to take like the actual driving, physically driving exam. And then after that, I'm good. And then I'll have my license. I'm getting a car soon, hopefully. I'm saving up to get that vehicle. I should be able to get the vehicle this month. And then after that, you know. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Things are much more stable now because I'm staying here, you know. Love your Windows debloater, bro. Thank you, man. I asked because I work for Comcast Business and I'm always looking for people to network with. Yeah, man. Well, if you know, you can always reach out via email if you're interested in any of our business services like that. We'd be happy to help. That's probably 10, 20 years down the line, indeed. But yeah, yeah. Data centers, fiber, the whole. Yeah, probably eventually. I'm sure. Probably down the road, you know. I don't know what Raven's going to look like 10 years from now. I'd hope so. This heartburn's getting a little crazy, fellas. I might actually end the stream soon because it is getting rough. Glad to hear, man. I've been a lurker for a good bit and was worried when you were going through all that stuff. Well, I appreciate that, man. Seriously. Yeah, I'm doing way better now, man. My sleep's gotten a lot better. My schedule's gotten a lot. Things are doing a lot better now. You know what the problem with AI? You know why it's heavily invested in? It's because it's a mean of production that doesn't have human labor in it for the most part. Well, that's not entirely true because how do you get those data centers? How do you maintain the AIs? How do you build the AIs? You need people. You know what I mean? But I think what you mean is like they're trying to invest in AI because they think that AI can replace human labor in a lot of categories. So that way it's cheaper in the long run. And I do agree. I think that's why they're investing so heavily in AI, is because then AI can replace, you know, at least in their eyes, they think that AI can replace a lot of human jobs and stuff. So they don't have to pay those wages and all that. Also, ignore the hole in my shirt for all you guys here. Cheap ass Walmart shirt. You called FreeThese malware and then told people to reinstall, yet your Talon requires disabling Defender, full C exclusion, and third-party downloads. How is his malicious but yours is not? So his script uses a trick called IRM-IEX, right? I talked about this already. The way you run FreeThese script is you open up PowerShell as administrator, then you run IRM, then you put in the URL, then you do pipe, and then IEX, right? Running a script this way doesn't actually write it as a file onto your computer. It just stores the file in memory, so that way it doesn't get tripped. So that way it doesn't trip up Defender or anything. And that's how his script works because it's just a massive monolithic PowerShell file, right? PowerShell script. So rather than it being like a full-on exe and all that. So that way he can really circumvent Defender giving any false flag detections. Talon is an actual compiled exe like a regular program, right? It isn't just a giant monolithic PowerShell file like his. So it does still get flagged by Defender because you're actually writing a file to disk and it deals with all those false positives, right? Any debloater is going to deal with false positives with Defender. Any debloater is going to require you to temporarily disable Defender. But a lot of debloaters just bypass that need entirely using the IRM-IEX trick. Talon doesn't always require a full C drive exclusion. It's just sometimes you may temporarily need to do that if you're running Talon and it's still acting even after you turn off real-time protection. Then sometimes you may need to add that. As for third-party downloads, Talon does not actually even need an internet connection to run. You do not even need to have an internet connection while running and installing Talon. So it doesn't actually do any third-party downloads for the debloating process. Now it does use Chocolatey, which is a package manager, when you do choose a browser to install, but this is necessary to install a web browser. And obviously Chocolatey is a very well vetted and actually official route, a proper safe route it's a package manager to properly go about downloading the browsers. And that's why we go that route, because it actually has hash verification built in. It has maintained packages by a massive community, everything like that. Chocolatey is very popular. But as for like the actual debloat process, Talon doesn't even need an internet connection. How is this script malicious, but yours is not? I believe his script is indistinguishable from malware. I believe his script does a lot of things that malware does, and I would never recommend running it. And I can't confirm the man's intentions, so obviously I can't argue that he's maliciously twisting his, mustache and like making this malicious script, right, to hack his viewers. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if I saw his script without any context, I would call it malware. And that's because I do think it really resembles malware. I do think it is very malware-esque because it really does compromise your system's security and your system's stability. If you know them, what do you think of Windscribe, the VPN service? I've never tried Windscribe and I've never looked too deep into them to really have a good answer for you there. And Florp, a browser based on Firefox, again, never looked into it too deep to have a full answer for you there. No class action lawsuit will be substantial enough to sue. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, you didn't say anything before that. That's weird. On that question about your opinion on Proton for privacy, I think Proton's probably one of the best options out there for less tech savvy users that are wanting more privacy. I really like Proton. I personally use Proton. I have been for years. I'm a big fan of them. I actually got sponsored by them for a while, and I actually do have my own discount code and stuff with them. So keep that in mind. But I do like Proton. I'm a big fan of them. That's why I took the sponsorship, is because I really like Proton. And then when they reached out for a Proton sponsorship, I was like, hell yeah, brother. you know, I get to promote shit that I already promoted before. Except this time I'm getting paid to do it. Hell yeah. Do you think AI as we have it today will usher the cyberpunk plot line? No. The real world's not that interesting. Not as rogue AI, but rogue human individuals using AI to do so. AI definitely lowers the barrier to entry to a lot of technical stuff. So I think we will see a massive increase in cyber attacks and stuff that are using AI. But I don't think. Listen, the real world's not that interesting. The shirt's quality contrasts how great the hat's quality is. Man's out here promoting the hats. Proton's been compromised. That's not true. That's a misunderstanding of how Proton has to function legally. Hey man, just dropping in for a quickie. So happy to hear things worked out for all right for you, and keeping on. The world needs more people like you. Well, I really appreciate that, man. Thanks for that. This is starting to feel like a late night convo on Za. Yeah, man, it's a chill stream. Any plans on making any kind of browser extension? Probably not. Actually, we might make a bin browser extension. That'd be interesting. Because if we did, imagine if all you had to do was just like click a button at the top of your browser, right, and then drag and drop a file, and then you can share files through bin. That'd be neat. But we're making a desktop client for bin already, so I don't know how necessary a browser extension also would be. KO, you might be in the top chat mode, which gets rid of some messages for some reason. You can switch it at the top. I am in top chat mode. You are right. Yeah, I'm no longer in top chat mode. Do you still have the Raven Minecraft server? No, not anymore. We shut that down quietly. We kind of quietly old yellered that, took it out back to the barn. Just because, for the amount of people playing it, the amount of activity it had and stuff, it just wasn't worth the money. I honestly just think it's better if we use our money more wisely instead of just wasting a bit of it each month, on something like that. It was fun for the community and stuff because a lot of people wanted a Minecraft server, but not really many people were playing it anyways after a while. So it was just like, there wasn't a point. If free these scripts are fully open and readable on GitHub, where exactly is malicious intent required to call it malware? Or do you admit that claim was misleading? Open source doesn't mean that something isn't malicious. If you think that something being fully open and readable on GitHub means it isn't malware, then you are solemnly misunderstood. Solemnly misunderstanding, I mean. Malware can exist that's open source. And again, I can't argue. You're talking about malicious intent
required to call it malware. I can't I can't argue the man's intent. As far as I'm aware, he's not maliciously, trying to compromise your computers and stuff. So if you require malicious intent to call it malware, then it wouldn't be the most accurate label. I believe when I'm saying that, when I'm talking about his script and malware, I'm saying that if I read his script without any context, if I just was handed the script and said, "What do you think?" I would call it malicious. I would call it malware because of the things it does to compromise your system's security and stability. That's where the whole me and this script and calling it malware and stuff comes from. I'm just saying that I would call it malware. Just reading it, like that, right? And just for complete confirmation, I'm not sure if he made it. I'm not sure if even I made it entirely clear, but you guys know that Talon is fully open source too, right? Talon is open source and available for you guys to read as well. And you guys can compile the exe yourself from source. You can build the exe from source if you want. So if you don't want to trust the exe that we're giving out to download, then you can go to our GitHub, clone the repository, and then actually build it yourself. So that way you get an exe that you made from the source code. So that way you know that it is the source code, and then you can run it, and you'll find that it's the same exact exe. If open source can be malware, what exact malicious code or behavior in FreeThese repo proves intent, not just risky tweaks? Again, I cannot argue the man's intent. I don't know what's running through that man's head. Look, I'm not. When I made my analysis video, I'm not there to argue the person. I wasn't trying to attack Freethy, nor was I. I wasn't arguing against the man himself. I was arguing against his tool. I was doing an analysis of the tool, the code. I care about the code. I care about the actual tool itself. I don't care about the person who made it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to I'm not trying to attack Freethy or anything like that. I'm not trying to argue this man's intent because I can't realistically argue this man's intent. But what I can realistically argue is that his script, I would call it malware because it is definitely doing some seriously bad stuff to your system in terms of security and in terms of stability. I would highly recommend you go watch the video in full, just in case if you haven't. I would highly recommend you go watch my video so you can better understand my take on it. And then you can also read the pinned comment. I did make a couple of corrections in the pinned comment of myself correcting myself. But yeah, it's not like I can argue that what's running through this man's head. I can't, and I have no intentions to. I'm arguing about the code. I'm arguing. I'm doing an analysis on the. I feel like arguing is the wrong word. I'm not even necessarily arguing. I did an analysis on the man's code, and I came to a conclusion, and that's the conclusion I came to. I didn't come to a conclusion on the person. I didn't come to a conclusion on Freethy. I came to a conclusion on Winsucks, his tool. Just finished his hour-long and recent short video about the debloater in question. Quite an interesting watch. Yeah, I highly recommend all of you guys watching this stream right now, and all of you guys who watched my initial video. I highly recommend. I will always advocate that you should always listen to both sides of every story. So go watch my video, read my pinned comments, see what I have to say, and then go watch his video, and then see what he has to say. Both of his videos, and then come to your own conclusion. You know, you should never just blindly trust what one person's saying. That includes me. So don't just be blindly trusting what I'm saying here too. You know. Morning, KO. What's up, Jemin? Nice seeing you, man. Just finished his out. Oh yeah, I already read that. What's your opinion on vibe coded projects flooding the web? I think they're all low effort, shitty AI generated scripts, I guess. I don't know. Like it's vibe coded slop, you know? I definitely think it's annoying. I'll tell you that now. I definitely think from a security standpoint, you should never be trusting vibe coded slot projects. What are you using for that black taskbar with those cool icons? There's this YouTube video by some dude. If you look up make Windows 11 taskbar black, you'll find the video. This dude made this video. You just go in and you make like a registry tweak, and you can get a black taskbar. And then as for the icons, you actually can just I know a lot of people don't actually know this. Let me go ahead and show you this. So with icons, if you actually shift click them, shift right click them, I mean, you can see this panel here. Then you can select properties. And then when you select properties, you can click change icon and then set your own custom icon for because icons on your taskbar are just shortcuts. And you can customize the icons of shortcuts. And you just put your own icon in there. True, they look nice. Appreciate it, man. Do you guys think by now it's a safe point to conclude the stream, or do you guys think I should keep going a little longer? It's up to you guys. We've been streaming for 2 hours and 40 minutes roughly. Should we keep the stream going, or do you guys think it's about time to wrap it up? Because honestly, I think past this point, a lot of the questions that could be asked would be just repeating myself, you know? Like that guy earlier was asking me about freebie script. Like I had already answered that earlier and stuff. I feel like it's starting to get into that point of the stream where it's like, you know, kind of just repeating ourselves. Opinions on sticking to Windows 10. You shouldn't do it because it no longer has security updates. Windows 11 is a bit of a mess with most of the programs just being web interfaces. I agree. Windows 11's shit, but it still gets security updates, and Windows 10 doesn't anymore. I know that like the IoT, LTSC versions of Windows 10 still get security updates. But like for regular versions of Windows, you really should be using, you know, the versions that actually get security updates. I always wondered about the black taskbar. Is that really Windows 11? Yeah. Let me show you this real quick. Oops. So it looks like I'm using Windows 10 right now. You know, this is the Windows 10 start menu. It looks like I'm using Windows 10 right now, but let me show you this. If I run WinVer, I am using Windows 11 right now. This is Windows 11 that I'm running right now on my machine. This is Windows 11. If you're curious, actually, how to make Windows 10 look like Windows 11, I did make a video on that if you guys want to go check that out. I'm not going to bother repeating, like showcasing that again on this stream, so just go check that out if you want. You can make Windows 10 look like Windows 11. You saw those recent ROS updates about Ubisoft? That's nice about Stop Killing Games. I mean, I have not been keeping up with the Stop Killing Games movement. You've done a great job being patient and tolerant while repeating yourself on some topics 5 times over. I appreciate that, man. And you know, I try to be. I don't mind doing it. I love yapping about tech stuff, you know. I don't mind if I have to repeat myself a couple times here. I don't mind it. Lamau Taco Bell Corp, yeah. You can actually customize the registered organization of your system, so it's Taco Bell. Yeah, my computer's licensed to Taco Bell. Don't worry about it. Is Windows 10 LTSC with latest updates more vulnerable than Windows 11? No, I don't think so. Because Windows 10 LTSC is getting security updates still. So I don't know if it's necessarily true to say that it's more vulnerable than Windows 11. Seeing both the Windows 10 Start menu and the Windows 11 Ver with the new buttons felt so weird. Yeah. It's neat, though, because I think Windows 11 looks like dog shit. So I got the sharp corners back. I got the Windows 10 Start menu, the Windows 10 taskbar back and stuff, so I'm happy. I like the way Windows 10 looks way better than Windows 11. I actually think Windows 10 is the best looking version of Windows. I like the sharp corners. I like the pure black. I like that stuff, you know. Well, guys, I think is truth about Windows 12 being on 2026. I don't believe those rumors are true. Windows 12 rumor floating around came from just one singular news source, and then a bunch of other news sources picked up on it, and it kind of cascaded. Microsoft hasn't said any Microsoft hasn't made any official statements about Windows 12. So those are just rumors. I don't think any of that's true. It wouldn't make sense too because Windows 11 has only been out for a little while. If there was going to be a Windows 12, it would be at least a handful of years later. Like maybe by 2030, I could see a Windows 12 coming out. Yeah, but guys, I think this is about a good ending point. You know, we've been streaming for roughly 2 hours and 44 minutes, so I think it's about a good stopping point. If you guys agree, then I think we'll go ahead and call it here. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. I hope I was able to answer a lot of you guys' questions. The next video I'll be making will most likely be about VirusTotal, and I'll be talking about the confusion about VirusTotal because it's a very misunderstood tool. Feel free to end the stream if you want. Don't make yourself sit here if there's not much happening. You've already streamed for 2 hours. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm making myself available for you guys to ask any questions you want and stuff. I want to make sure that I got all of you guys like burning questions over, before I end. I don't want to end on you guys still having questions. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it here, fellas. So take care, big dog. Appreciate it. Nutty 3D, man. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks all you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys another time. Get some rest, brother. Stay safe. I appreciate that, Alex, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for that VirusTotal video, man. It'll be coming out soon. Goodbye. See you guys.